Chosen one, do not scroll past this. Freeze, just for 60 seconds, because what I am about to say has been waiting years to reach you. It is over. The thing that almost broke you. The season you begged to end. The battle you fought in silence while smiling at people who had no idea what you were carrying. It is finished. And you will never, ever have to go through that again. Not a pause, not a ceasefire before another round, a closed door, sealed from the other side, so that even if you wanted to walk back into that pain, heaven itself would not allow it. Congratulations, chosen one. You made it through. And before you tell yourself this is just another message, answer one question for me. Why did this find you today, of all days? You did not search for it. It arrived. The same week you felt that strange stillness you could not explain. The same season your chest started loosening, for no reason you could name. That was not your imagination. That was the sound of a war ending. Doors close quietly. That is why you missed the sound of this one closing behind you. But I have to be honest with you, because congratulations alone will not heal you. There is a reason you cannot feel the peace yet. A reason your shoulders are still tense, your sleep is still shallow, your mind still scans every room for the next threat. The war is over, but the soldier inside you has not been told. Scientists have a name for what happens to a mind that survives years of battle. Heaven has an older name for it. In the next few minutes I am going to show you both, because the moment you understand what is actually happening inside you, the numbness starts to lift. So stay with me. By the end of this message, you will know 3 things: why it ended now, and not one day sooner. What those years were secretly building inside you while you thought you were only surviving, and how to bring home the one part of you that is still out there, fighting a war that no longer exists. If your spirit already senses this is for you, I want you to do something small but sacred. Go to the comments and type the words, "It is over." Type them as a declaration, not a hope. Because somewhere in the middle of this message, you are going to understand why those 3 words are the most dangerous thing you can say to the darkness that used to torment you. Let me tell you what I see when I look at someone like you. I see a person who learned to cry without making a sound. I see someone who mastered the art of answering, "I am fine," while their whole inner world was on fire. I see a person who kept showing up to work, to family, to responsibility, while carrying something that would have flattened most people in a month. You did that for years, and here is what you never realized while you were doing it. Someone was watching, not the people around you. They saw the surface and assumed you were strong because you made it look effortless. I mean, something higher was watching, witnessing, recording every single night you chose not to give up. There is a ledger for people like you, chosen one, and your page is full. Maybe it was a marriage that dissolved in slow motion while you tried everything to save it. Maybe it was a diagnosis, yours or someone you love. Maybe it was debt that sat on your chest like a stone every morning before your eyes even opened. Maybe it was a betrayal from the one person you were certain would never do that. Or maybe it was quieter than all of that. A long grey season of nothing moving, nothing working, nothing answering. Whatever shape your battle took, it had one signature move. It convinced you it would never end. That is what long seasons do. They rewrite your sense of time. The first month you fight with hope. The first year you fight with discipline. After that, you stop fighting to win, and you start fighting simply not to disappear. If you know exactly what I mean by that, this message was routed to you with precision. Now I need you to hear the announcement itself, plainly, with no decoration. The season that defined your pain has completed. Its assignment against your life has expired. It does not get a sequel. It does not get a surprise return in 2 years wearing a different face. The specific weight you carried, the one you are thinking of right now, is done with you, and you are done with it. I know the first thing your mind did when I said that. It flinched. Some part of you whispered, Do not believe it. We have been fooled before. I want you to notice that flinch, because that reflex is not doubt. That reflex is evidence. It is proof of how long you lived under siege. A person who flinches at good news is a person who survived something serious. Hold that thought, because we are coming back to it in a way that will change how you see your entire recovery. Here is the first gift I can hand you tonight, and I want you to receive it before we go one step further. Relief and peace are not the same thing. Relief is what you feel when the attack stops. Peace is what you feel when your body finally believes the attack is not coming back. You can be relieved and still not at peace. Most survivors live in that exact gap, sometimes for years, and they think something is wrong with them. Nothing is wrong with you. You are simply standing in the space between relief and peace, and nobody ever taught you how to cross it. That crossing is what this entire message is about. Because ending the war was the work of heaven. Learning to live like the war is over, that is yours, and you do not have to figure it out alone. So, let us go back to the beginning, not to reopen wounds, but to read your own story the way heaven reads it. Because I promise you, the version of events you have been telling yourself is missing its most important chapter. You remember what happened to you. You have almost no idea what was happening in you. And that hidden chapter is where all your unclaimed treasure is buried. Think back to who you were before the battle started. Remember that person, the lightness they had, the way ideas used to come easily, the way you could sit in a quiet room and feel comfortable inside your own head. You had a kind of brightness, chosen one. People may have even commented on it when you were young. A quickness, a knowing, a spark that made things feel possible. Then the season hit, and survival became your full-time occupation. Here is what nobody tells you about survival. It is expensive. It runs on borrowed resources. Every day you spent bracing, scanning, calculating, and enduring. Your inner system was quietly paying for it by shutting down everything it considered optional. Creativity, wonder, deep rest, vision, joy, all of it got labeled non-essential and powered down, one switch at a time. That is why, somewhere in the middle of those hard years, you stopped recognizing yourself. You were not weak. You were rationed. There is a difference, and it matters more than almost anything else I will say tonight. The brightness did not die. It was placed in storage by a system that was trying to keep you alive, and what goes into storage, chosen one, can be taken back out. You see, there is a pattern in every sacred story ever told about people who were chosen for something, and I mean every single one. The pattern is this. The ones marked for the biggest assignments always pass through the longest dark. Joseph did not go from the coat to the palace. He went from the coat to the pit, from the pit to the slave house, from the slave house to the prison, and only then to the throne room. 13 years, by most counts. 13 years of watching his own gift gather dust. And notice something about Joseph that most people miss. When his moment finally came, when they pulled him out of the dungeon and stood him in front of Pharaoh, the gift was still there. Sharper, in fact, than it had ever been. The interpretation, the strategy, the plan that saved nations, all of it came pouring out of a man who had every reason to be permanently broken. The dark did not destroy what was in him. The dark had been pressing it into something harder and clearer the entire time. That is not poetry. That is a mechanism. And you are inside the same mechanism right now. The years you are grieving as lost time were performing an operation on you that comfort could never perform. I will prove it to you piece by piece before this message ends, because you deserve to see the receipts of your own becoming. But first we have to deal with the soldier, the one I mentioned at the start. The part of you that is still out there in the field, rifle up, eyes scanning a horizon where no enemy remains. because until that part of you comes home, you will keep living a strange double life, blessed on paper, braced in body, free in fact, caged in feeling. Have you noticed it? You get good news now, and your first reaction is suspicion. Someone treats you kindly, and a voice inside asks what they want from you. You finally get a quiet weekend, and instead of resting, you feel weirdly anxious, like quiet itself is a trap. You sit down to relax, and within minutes, you are up again, checking, organizing, fixing something that did not need fixing. Friend, that is not your personality. That is a protocol, a survival protocol that saved your life during the war and is now, with total loyalty and total blindness, ruining your peace. It does not know the war is over. Nobody sent it, the memo. And the longer it runs unchallenged, the more it convinces you that this tension is simply who you are now. It is not who you are. And in a few minutes, when I show you what those years of high alert actually did inside your head, and the piece of forgotten science that explains why you feel duller and dimmer than the person you used to be, you are going to feel something crack open. People describe it like a light switching back on in a room they forgot their house even had. Stay with me, chosen one. We are just getting started. Before we go deeper, I want to hand you the evidence that this ending is real, because your mind will demand proof, and rightly so. It has been burned before, so here are the signs, 5 of them. Signs that a long spiritual season has genuinely closed and is not merely catching its breath. As I walk through them, count how many are already present in your life. Most people watching this will find at least 3. Some of you will find all 5. And for you, this next section is going to feel like someone reading your diary out loud. The first sign is the strange stillness. Not happiness, not excitement. Stillness. A sensation that the background noise of your life dropped in volume and you cannot explain why. Where there used to be a constant hum of dread, there is now an odd quiet that almost makes you uncomfortable. You may have caught yourself asking, why does everything feel so calm lately? That question is not paranoia. It is your spirit noticing the battlefield emptied out before your mind got the report. The second sign is the loss of appetite for old wars. Arguments you would have jumped into a year ago now feel boring. People who used to be able to pull your strings suddenly cannot find them. Drama that once hooked you now just looks like noise. You did not become passive. You became expensive. Your energy raised its own price, and the old conflicts can no longer afford you. That shift never happens in the middle of a season. It only happens at the exit. The third sign is the return of small wanting. In the depth of your battle, you wanted nothing except for the pain to stop. Desire itself went numb, but recently, tiny wants have been sprouting. A flicker of interest in an old hobby, a random urge to reorganize a room, to plant something, to learn something, to make something. These look trivial. They are not. Wanting is the first crop that grows back in burned soil, and something in you has started wanting again. The fourth sign is the dreams. Many of you already know exactly what I mean. As seasons close, sleep changes. Some of you have dreamed of moving houses, of crossing water, of finding rooms in your home you never knew existed. Some of you have dreamed of the people or places connected to your battle. But in the dream you felt strangely calm, watching from a distance instead of drowning inside it. Your deeper mind files the war under history before your waking mind dares to. The paperwork shows up in your dreams first. And the fifth sign, the one that confirms all the others, is that this message reached you. I am fully serious. Messages like this one operate on assignment. Thousands of people scroll past it and feel nothing, because it carries nothing for them. But every once in a while it lands in front of a person at the exact hinge point of their story. And for that person it does not feel like content. It feels like mail, addressed, timed, sealed with their name. If you have felt at any point in the last few minutes that I am talking directly to you, then you already know which kind of viewer you are. So count them up: the stillness, the retirement from old wars, the return of small wanting, the shifting dreams, the arrival of this word. How many did you find? If it is 3 or more, I want you to hear the verdict without flinching this time. Your season is over, officially. The gavel already came down in a courtroom you could not see, and the case against your peace was dismissed. Now, if it is really over, a fair question rises up. Why now? Why did it end at this particular point and not 2 years ago, when you were on your knees asking, not 1 day sooner, not 1 day later? I want to answer that carefully, because inside that answer is the first major key of this entire message, and it is a key almost nobody hands to survivors. The season did not end when you finally became strong enough to deserve the ending. Endings do not work like wages. It ended because it finished what it was sent to build. Every long dark carries a curriculum. The moment the curriculum completes, the classroom dissolves. Not a second before, no matter how much you cry, and not a second after, no matter how much the enemy of your soul would love over time. What you called delay was actually a construction schedule, and that means something staggering about you, sitting there right now. If the season has closed, then whatever it was building in you is finished, complete, installed. You are not walking out of those years empty-handed, chosen one. You are walking out, loaded, carrying cargo you cannot even see yet. In a little while I am going to open that cargo with you, piece by piece, and I am telling you now, one of the items inside is going to make you cry the good kind of tears. But before we open the cargo, we have to talk about the thief, because here is the part of your story that will make you sit up. Those years did not only build things in you, something was also being taken from you while you were too busy surviving to guard it. Taken quietly, taken systematically. And the strangest part is that what was taken is the exact thing you need to enjoy the freedom you just won. Have you ever wondered why you feel less brilliant than you used to? I am choosing that word deliberately. Brilliant. There was a version of you, years back, that thought faster, imagined bigger, connected ideas like lightning. Somewhere along the hard road, that version faded. Most people blame age. Most people blame stress. Most people are wrong on both counts, and the truth is stranger, sadder, and far more fixable than they imagine. Keep that question lit in your mind like a candle, because we will walk straight into its answer soon. First, though, you need to see your own war record. You need to understand what you actually survived, spiritually and mentally, because you cannot bring the soldier home until you honor what the soldier went through. That is where we go next. So let us look at your war record. Not the version other people saw, the real one, the classified file. Because most survivors dramatically underestimate what they lived through, and that underestimation is quietly blocking their healing. You cannot celebrate a victory you have never actually measured, and you cannot release a weight you keep pretending was light. Start with the mornings. Do you remember what mornings were like at the worst of it? That half second after waking, before memory loaded, when everything was briefly okay, and then the remembering. The way reality would land on your chest, like something physical. Most people never experience that even once. You experienced it hundreds of times, and you still got up. Every single time, you still got up. Then the performances, the birthday parties you attended while dying inside, the meetings where you presented numbers with a steady voice on the same day your personal world was collapsing. The phone calls where you said, "Do not worry about me, I am good," while staring at a ceiling that had heard you cry the night before. Each one of those performances cost you something real. Nobody applauded them. Heaven saw every single one. And then the silent negotiations, the deals you tried to make in the dark. If this would just end, I would never complain again. The bargaining, the pleading, the nights you ran out of words entirely and just sat there, empty, too tired to even form a prayer. I want you to know something about those wordless nights. They counted. In the oldest spiritual traditions, it is understood that the deepest cry has no vocabulary. When you had nothing left to say, that was not the end of your faith. That was its purest form. You survived a siege, chosen one, not an event. A siege, there is a difference. An event wounds you once. A siege reshapes you slowly, day after day, decision after decision, until endurance is not something you do but something you are. And people who survive sieges walk out of them with two things: injuries that need tending and capacities that no comfortable person will ever possess. We will get to both. If you are still here, still listening, still nodding, then do something for me right now. That first declaration you typed was about the season. This one is about you. Go to the comments and type, "I made it through." 4 words, past tense. Because your survival deserves a written record on this side of heaven too. And there are people scrolling who need to see thousands of survivors saying those words in one place. Your comment might be the rope somebody else grabs. Now I want to pause and hold something in front of you before we continue. Over the past few years, something has been discovered in research laboratories that most people who care about the things we are discussing have never been told about. Not because it contradicts what is sacred, because it came from a direction most of us are not watching. A small group of neuroscientists, led by a doctor in New York who has spent decades studying the human mind, found something about the way your brain is designed that explains what most long-term survivors feel but can never quite name. The fog, the dimming, the sense of operating at a fraction of your former brightness. Their finding is so fundamental it traces back to a Nobel Prize, and yet so simple in its application that it sounds almost suspicious at first. I am going to tell you exactly what they found later in this message, and I promise it will reframe how you see your entire recovery. But right now, hold this question in your hands. What if the dullness you blame on age, on stress, on being permanently damaged, is none of those things? What if something was taken from you during the war, and what if it can be given back? Hold that. Do not let it go. Because before I can give you that answer, I have to give you a different one first. I told you at the start, there is a reason you cannot feel the peace yet, even though the war is over. It is time to name that reason. And to name it, I need to tell you about a soldier. In 1944, a young Japanese intelligence officer named Hiru Onoda was sent to a small island in the Philippines with one order: hold your position until relieved. The war ended 1 year later. Japan surrendered. The world moved on, rebuilt, entered a completely new era. Hiru Onoda did not. He stayed in that jungle, following his last order, for 29 more years. Leaflets were dropped telling him the war was over. He decided they were enemy tricks. Search parties called his name. He hid deeper. For 29 years, a war that existed nowhere on Earth continued to exist in one place, inside one faithful, disciplined, utterly loyal mind. He was not crazy. He was not stupid. He was doing exactly what a devoted soldier is trained to do. He simply never received the ending in a form he could believe. It took his former commanding officer, an old man by then, flying to that island and formally relieving him of duty before Onoda finally laid down a rifle he had polished every day for 3 decades. Chosen one, I need you to understand why I just told you that story. There is a part of your mind that is still on that island. It got its orders years ago, when your siege began. Watch for threats. Trust nothing good. Brace before every phone call. Sleep light. Guard the gate. and it has been following those orders with perfect loyalty ever since. The war ended. Nobody flew to the island. Nobody formally relieved it of duty. This is the reason for the gap between your breakthrough and your feelings. This is why good news makes you flinch and quiet weekends make you anxious. Modern clinicians circle around this truth with many technical terms, but I want to give it to you in the simplest, most usable form, because the moment a thing is named, it loses its power to run you from the shadows. We call it the peace delay. The peace delay is the lag between the moment a battle actually ends and the moment your inner system believes it has ended. The event finishes first. The feeling finishes later, sometimes months later, sometimes years later. And in that gap, millions of survivors make the most heartbreaking mistake possible. They conclude that because they cannot feel the peace must not be real. They stand in a free field, certain they are still in prison, because their body never got the memo, their circumstances received. Here is what nobody told you. The delay is not a malfunction. It is a feature of how you were built. A system that instantly dropped its guard at the first sign of quiet would have gotten your ancestors killed. Your deep mind is designed to demand overwhelming evidence of safety before it stands down. It is skeptical on purpose. It loved you through the war by staying alert, and it loves you now the only way it knows how, by refusing to believe the war is over until someone with authority walks into the jungle and relieves it of duty. And that someone, chosen one, is you. This is the first great assignment of your new season. Not chasing another breakthrough, not fighting another enemy. There is no enemy left. Your assignment is to become the commanding officer who flies to the island, to formally, deliberately, repeatedly deliver the message your deepest self has been waiting for. The war is over. You are relieved. You can come home now. How do you deliver that message? Not by arguing with your anxiety. Arguing with a soldier on high alert only convinces him you are an enemy trick. You deliver it the way Onoda received it, through ceremony, through evidence, through repetition from a trusted voice. In the second half of this message, I am going to walk you through the exact ceremony, step by step, and I am also going to show you the tool that thousands of people are using to send that message straight past the skeptical guard at the gate, down to the level where the soldier actually lives. But notice what just happened. One piece of your numbness now has a name, the peace delay. You are not broken. You are not ungrateful. You are not failing at freedom. You are a faithful survivor whose inner garrison has not yet received the surrender papers. Feel the difference in your chest between "I am permanently damaged" and "my peace is simply still in transit." One of those sentences is a life sentence. The other is a delivery date. There is one more thing the Onoda story teaches, and it is the bridge to everything that comes next. When Onoda finally walked out of that jungle, the world expected a broken relic. What they got instead stunned them. 29 years of discipline had forged a man of almost supernatural clarity, capability, and calm. The jungle had cost him dearly, yes, but it had also built something in him that no comfortable life could have built. He lived another 40 years, wrote books, taught survival to young people, and died at 91, having turned his lost decades into his greatest asset. That pattern has a name too, and it is older than psychology. The same years that wound you are the years that arm you. Your siege was not only taking, it was also forging. And it is time you saw exactly what it forged, because you are about to walk into a season that will require every single piece of it. Let me show you what you are carrying, chosen one. Let me open the cargo. Picture it like this. A soldier comes home from a long deployment and drops a heavy duffel bag in the hallway. For weeks he walks past it, too tired to unpack. The bag just sits there, and every time he sees it, He only remembers the war. But one day he finally opens it, and inside, under the gear and the dust, he finds things he forgot he had. Letters that prove who loved him. Medals he never looked at twice. Skills written into his hands that civilians spend fortunes trying to learn. Your last season left a bag in your hallway. Chosen one. Most survivors never open it. They treat everything connected to the hard years as contaminated. So the treasure sits in the hallway inside the same bag as the trauma. Tonight we open the bag, and the first thing you are going to find inside is something I can only call weapons-grade discernment. Before your siege, you took people at face value. You believed polished words. You gave endless chances to those who had already shown you who they were. Be honest, you could be fooled, and you were, more than once. Now think about the person you are today. You read rooms in seconds. You feel the temperature drop in a conversation before a single wrong word is spoken. You can hear the difference between an apology and a strategy. Nobody handed you that. You paid for it. Every betrayal you survived was tuition. Every manipulation you finally saw through was a course completed. The dark taught you its own tricks, and now the dark has a problem because you know them all. In the season you are entering, where new people, new offers, and new opportunities are about to flood in, that discernment is not a scar, it is a sentry. It will save you years and fortunes. The second item in the bag is depth, and I want to be careful here because this one is tender. Before the siege, your compassion was theoretical. You felt sorry for hurting people, the way one feels sorry about news from a distant country. Real, but thin. Then you went into the fire yourself. And now, when someone tells you they cannot get out of bed, you do not offer them a quote. You sit down next to them in a way only another survivor can, and they feel the difference immediately, even if they cannot explain it. Have you noticed that strangers have started confiding in you? That people sense they can bring you their unpolished truth? That children and animals and hurting souls gravitate toward you in rooms where louder people are performing? That is not coincidence. Suffering carved space into you, and other people can feel the room you now have for them. In the old economy of your life, that depth earned you nothing. In the assignment that is coming, it is the core qualification. Because hear me on this, the next season of your life is not just about your comfort. Chosen ones are never rescued for retirement, they are rescued for deployment. Somewhere downstream of your future, there are people in the exact pit you just climbed out of. And the plan was always that they would be pulled out by someone whose hands still remember the texture of those walls. Your pain was never private, chosen one. It was preparation for a rescue operation with your name on it. And that brings us to the third item, the one I said might bring the good kind of tears. Under the discernment and under the depth, folded at the bottom of the bag, is proof. Proof of something you doubted through every dark night. You wondered if you were weak. Look at the file. You outlasted a siege that was specifically designed to make you quit, and you did not quit. You wondered if you were crazy for hoping. Look at the file. The hope was accurate. It is over, exactly as the hope insisted it would be. You wondered, in the very worst hours, whether you had been forgotten, whether all of it was random, unseen, unrecorded. Chosen one, look at the file. You are sitting here, at the precise hinge of your story, listening to a message that describes your inner life with an accuracy no algorithm could fake, arriving in the exact week your season closed. Does that feel like a coincidence to you? Or does that feel like a records department with perfect timing finally opening your case in front of you? You were seen the whole time, every silent performance, every wordless night, every morning you got up, when getting up was heroic. It was all witnessed, and none of it was wasted, and the delivery of this message is itself the receipt. Take a breath, and let that land somewhere deeper than your thoughts. Now, You have a named enemy that is not really an enemy, the peace delay, a loyal guard, waiting to be relieved. You have an open bag of spoils, discernment, depth, and proof. But there is a fourth thing in the bag, and it is different from the others. The others are additions, things the war gave you. The fourth is a subtraction, something the war took. And unlike the gifts, which reveal themselves slowly, this theft stays invisible until someone shows it to you directly. I hinted at it earlier when I asked why you feel less brilliant than you used to. It is time to walk toward that answer properly. To do it, I need to take you somewhere unexpected. Not to a church, and not to a battlefield, to a laboratory. Because the next chapter of your story was written in one by people who had no idea they were writing about you. But before we walk into that laboratory, I need to prepare you for what you will find there. The discovery means nothing until you feel the size of the theft it explains. So let me show you the theft first. And the only way to show you is to take you back further than the war, further than your adult life entirely. I need you to remember being 8 years old. Do you remember how your mind worked back then? Really remember? Questions poured out of you from morning to night. You learned entire imaginary worlds in an afternoon. You drew, built, invented, pretended, connected things no adult would think to connect. Time disappeared when you were absorbed in something. Ideas were not something you searched for. They arrived on their own, uninvited, faster than you could use them. Scientists who study creative capacity have measured this, and their findings are almost unbelievable. In early childhood, the overwhelming majority of children score at what researchers classify as genius level in creative thinking. Nearly all of them. A few years into adulthood, that number collapses to almost nobody. Not one child in your class was ordinary at 8. Almost every adult you know is dimmed by 40. Something happens between the child and the adult. Something systematic. Most people assume the dimming is natural. Just growing up, they say. Just responsibility. Just age. But then you meet the exceptions and the story falls apart. You meet people in their 70s who crackle with ideas like children. You read about inventors and artists and grandmothers who did their brightest work late in life. If dimming were biology, there would be no exceptions. The exceptions prove the light does not die. It gets buried, and buried things can be dug back up. Now bring that home to your own story. You did not just experience the ordinary dimming that touches everyone. You went through a siege on top of it, and a mind under siege does something specific and brutal to itself. I told you earlier that survival is expensive and that your system pays by shutting down whatever it considers optional. Let me now show you exactly what got labeled optional, because this list is going to hurt, and then it is going to set you free. Imagination was labeled optional. Dreaming about the future was labeled optional, because the future was a threat to be monitored, not a canvas to be painted. Wonder was labeled optional. Play was labeled optional. Deep learning was labeled optional. The quiet inner voice that used to hand you ideas, warnings and knowings was throttled down to a whisper, because all available bandwidth was rerouted to one job: scanning for danger. Do you see it now? The fog you live in is not age. The dullness is not damage. The distance between you and your childhood brightness is not decay. It is rationing that never got reversed. Your inner system pawned your treasures to fund the war, and the war ended, and nobody ever went back to the pawn shop. There is a name for this, and I want you to have it, because naming it breaks its anonymity. We call it the quiet theft. The quiet theft is the slow confiscation of your highest faculties by a mind locked in survival, so gradual that you never notice the missing pieces, you simply forget you ever owned them. It steals in tiny increments. A little less curiosity this year, a little less imagination the next, It leaves the basic machinery running, so you can still work and talk and function, and everyone around you assumes you are fine. Meanwhile, the crown jewels are gone, and you blame yourself for feeling poor. Chosen one, understand what I am telling you tonight. The theft was real. You are not imagining the difference between who you were and who you have been lately. But the thief was never age, and it was never permanent, and this is the part that should make you sit up straight. Everything taken by survival mode still exists. It was suppressed, not destroyed. The vault was sealed, not emptied, and seals, unlike ashes, can be broken. If something in your chest just tightened, if you felt grief and hope hit you at the same moment, I want you to mark this moment. Go to the comments and type, "I want it back," 4 words. Because the claim has to be filed before property can be returned, and heaven honors specific requests over vague wishes. Type it like you mean it. I want it back. The brightness, the quickness, the wonder, all of it. Now let me tell you something ancient that the laboratory people stumbled into without knowing it. In the oldest language of scripture, there is a word usually translated as peace, shalom. But shalom does not mean quiet. It does not mean the absence of conflict. The root meaning of shalom is completeness, wholeness, a state in which nothing is missing and nothing is broken. When ancient believers blessed you with shalom, they were not wishing you a calm afternoon. They were declaring restoration over you. Every stolen piece returned, every account settled, every part of you brought home. Sit with that, because it changes the assignment of your new season entirely. If peace merely meant the war stopping, you would already have it. But the peace you were promised is shalom, and shalom means the war stopping and the stolen goods coming back. The soldier returning from the island, the treasures coming out of the vault, the child-level brightness switching back on in the adult who earned every watt of it. That is the finish line. Chosen one, not survival, restoration. Let me show you what that actually looks like, because your imagination has been rationed for years and it may need help picturing your own future. Come with me about 1 year forward. It is an ordinary weekday morning. You wake up before the alarm, and here is the miracle. Nothing lands on your chest. No dread loading up with your memory. You lie there for a moment, doing an inventory, almost suspicious, looking for the weight, and it simply is not there. It has not been there for months. You get up, and you notice your own energy. Ideas start arriving with the coffee. Not frantic thoughts. Ideas, plans that excite you. Connections between things you know that suddenly click together and make you laugh out loud. Alone in your kitchen, you catch your reflection and you look younger, not because of any product, but because your face finally released a tension it held so long you thought it was bone structure. People notice before you tell them anything. Your family watches you laugh at something small and exchanges glances, because that laugh has been gone for years. A friend says you seem different, sharper, lighter, and asks what you are doing. Someone at work brings you a problem nobody could crack, because word has quietly spread that lately you see things other people miss. And the strangest part is that none of it feels like effort. It feels like remembering. Like moving back into a house you never should have left. That picture is not flattery, chosen one. It is a forecast built on a mechanism, and mechanisms can be trusted. The stillness you already feel is phase 1. The soldier coming off the island is phase 2. The vault opening is phase 3. You are standing in the middle of a staged restoration, and the stages have an order, and knowing the order is what keeps you from panicking when the feelings lag behind the facts. So here is where we stand. You know the war is over, and you know the 5 signs that prove it. You know about the peace delay, the loyal guard who has not yet heard. You have opened the bag of spoils. You know about the quiet theft, and you know the vault is sealed but full. Which leaves the 2 questions everything now hangs on. How do you relieve the guard? And how do you open the vault? The first question has a ceremony for an answer, and I am going to walk you through it personally before this message ends. The second question is the one that took humanity until this generation to answer, because for thousands of years, people who survived their siege simply lived out their days with the vault, sealed, dimmed, and dutiful, never knowing anything was missing. What changed is that someone finally found the lock, not a metaphorical lock, a physical, biological, measurable lock, sitting in a place nobody thought to look. It is time. The year is 1981. A quiet researcher named Dr. Roger Sperry stands in Stockholm receiving the Nobel Prize, the highest honor science can give, for a discovery so strange that decades later most people have still never heard of it. Dr. Roger Sperry had spent years studying patients whose two brain hemispheres had been surgically separated, and what he found rewrote everything we thought we knew about the human mind. He discovered that you do not have one brain. You have two complete, distinct, fully functioning minds, living side by side in your skull, connected by a bridge of hundreds of millions of fibers. The left mind is your accountant. Language, logic, lists, caution, analysis. The right mind is your artist. Imagery, intuition, music, wholeness, the big picture, the sudden knowing that arrives without steps. When the bridge between them is wide open and the two minds fire together, something extraordinary happens that researchers have been circling ever since. Because here is what the laboratories found in the years after Dr. Roger Sperry opened that door. The moments humans describe as genius, the flashes of insight, the flow states where time disappears, the creative surges where a whole answer arrives at once. Those moments are not produced by one side of the brain working hard. They are produced by both sides working together, synchronized, two minds beating like one heart. Whole brain activation is the closest thing to a biological signature of brilliance that science has ever measured. Now hold that discovery in one hand and hold your 8-year-old self in the other. Why was that child a fountain of ideas? Because children live with the bridge wide open. The two minds have not yet been separated by decades of schooling that rewards only the accountant, work that pays only the accountant, and screens that flatten everything into noise. The child runs whole. That is the entire secret. Nearly every child measures at genius level because nearly every child is synchronized. And what happens as we grow? The traffic across the bridge thins. The accountant takes over daily operations because bills and deadlines speak his language. The artist, unpaid and unconsulted, goes quiet in the back room. The dimming that everyone blames on age is, in measurable terms, a desynchronization. The two minds drift apart like dancers who stopped hearing the same song. Almost everyone alive is walking around at a fraction of their designed capacity, and they have no idea because everyone around them is equally dimmed and calls it normal. But now, chosen one, add the final ingredient. Add a siege. Add years of survival mode on top of the ordinary drift. Remember what survival does. It reroutes all available power to threat scanning, and threat scanning is an accountant job. Vigilance, calculation, worst-case analysis, rumination. Survival mode does not just neglect the artist mind. It actively locks the door on it, because in a war zone, daydreaming feels like a liability. The longer your siege lasted, the harder that lock was turned. Do you understand what I am telling you? The quiet theft now has a physical address. The brightness you lost was not dissolved into nothing. It lives in the half of you that got locked out of the building while you were fighting for your life. Your intuition, your imagination, your joy, your sense of the sacred, your ability to see the whole picture of your own future, all of it is on the other side of a bridge that survival mode closed for repairs and never reopened. This is why you can win the war and still feel grey. This is why the breakthrough arrived and the colors did not come back with it. Circumstances changed on the outside, but inside, half of you is still locked out. And no amount of willpower fixes it, because willpower is an accountant tool, and the accountant is not the one missing. You cannot think your way across a closed bridge. The reopening happens at a level underneath thinking, and that is exactly why everything you have tried has helped a little, but never all the way. I want you to feel the mercy hidden inside this science for a moment. All those years you called yourself scattered, foggy, lazy, too old, not smart enough anymore. You sat in rooms while duller but more rested people outpaced you, and you quietly concluded something in you had died. Chosen one, nothing in you died. You were running the most demanding program a human mind can run, survival under siege, on half power, for years, and you still made it here. What you did on 50% should have been impossible. Imagine what is coming when the other half comes back online. And it can come back online. This is the part of the story that took until this generation to learn. The bridge between your two minds is not fixed like bone. Science calls this neuroplasticity, the discovery that the connections in the brain remain changeable, reopenable, retrainable at any age. 70-year-olds have reopened it. Trauma survivors have reopened it. There are documented cases that read like resurrection stories, because that is nearly what they are. The lock on the vault, it turns out, was never welded shut. It was waiting for a key. Now, I told you earlier that a doctor in New York spent decades following the trail doctor, Roger Sperry, opened, and that his team found something that turns this science into something you can actually use in your own home. I gave you my word. I would bring you what they found, and I will keep it later in this message, at the exact right moment, because there is an order to restoration, and the order is not optional. Here is the order, and hear this carefully, because this one sentence separates the people who get fully free from the people who stay half free. The guard must be relieved before the vault is opened. If you reopen the artist mind while the soldier is still patrolling, the soldier will slam it shut again within days, because to a mind still at war, brightness feels like exposure. This is why so many people try a breakthrough practice, feel amazing for a week, and then snap back to grey. Nobody told them about the soldier. Nobody did the ceremony. So we do this in the right sequence, you and I, tonight. First, the ceremony. The formal relieving of the guard who kept you alive, the message to the island. And then, once the inner garrison stands down, I will take you back to New York and show you what 18,000 people are already using to walk back across the bridge. What you are feeling right now, that mixture of grief for the lost years and electricity about what is coming, that is the correct response. Grief for the theft, electricity for the return. Carry both. They are about to become fuel. Before we begin the ceremony, let us breathe for a moment, because we have covered holy ground fast, and some things deserve to settle. If this message has already given you language for things you have carried alone, do something simple while we rest here. Tap the like on this message. Not for me. Likes are how this finds the next survivor sitting in the dark gap between relief and peace, wondering if something is wrong with them. Your tap is a signal fire for somebody you will never meet. And while we rest, let me tell you about a woman I will call Miriam, because her story belongs in this message. Miriam wrote to a ministry I trust after 6 years of what she called her buried life. 6 years that began when her husband walked out 3 weeks after her cancer diagnosis. She fought the disease alone, raised 2 boys alone, buried her mother in year 4, and kept a bookkeeping job through all of it. Her words were, "I did everything right and went completely grey inside." The disease ended. The finances stabilized. The boys grew. And Miriam sat in her paid-off kitchen one evening and realized she felt nothing. Not gratitude, not joy, not even relief. Just a flat, careful watchfulness, as if the next disaster were already in the mail. She said the worst part was the shame. Everyone kept telling her how blessed she was, how strong she had been, and she would smile and agree and feel like a fraud, because inside there was only static. Then one night, unable to sleep, she stumbled onto a message very much like this one. She learned about the soldier who never got the memo. She learned that her flatness was not ingratitude, but a delay. She did the ceremony you are about to do. And she wrote that 4 months later she caught herself singing while washing dishes and burst into tears, because she suddenly remembered that the woman she used to be had sung constantly, and the woman she used to be was walking back into the house. I read you that story for one reason. Miriam did nothing extraordinary. She simply learned the order of restoration and followed it. The same order is in front of you now. And notice the timeline, because your accountant mind will want it, not overnight. Not years either. Weeks and months of steady returning, once the guard was relieved. Restoration has a pace. It is faster than your fear says, and slower than your impatience wants. And it is utterly reliable when the sequence is honored. There is one more thing to say before the ceremony, and it is for the part of you that is asking why God would design you this way at all. Why build a mind that locks its own treasures away? Why allow a delay between freedom and the feeling of freedom? It is a fair question, and the answer is worth the whole price of your suffering. The lock is a gift in dark seasons. The same mechanism that dimmed you kept you standing. You did not fall apart when falling apart would have destroyed your family, because the system narrowed you to essentials. The design is not cruel. It is seasonal. There is a time to be narrowed, and there is a time to be restored. And the tragedy of the modern world is not the narrowing. It is that nobody teaches the way back. Your ancestors had ceremonies for returning warriors, rituals, cleansings, formal welcomes home. We send survivors back to work on Monday and wonder why they stay grey for decades. Tonight we do what the old world knew to do. Tonight the warrior gets a welcome home. Everything we do from here has one aim: to formally relieve the loyal guard inside you, the way that old commanding officer relieved Onoda in the jungle. We are going to call this what it is: the return ceremony. It has 3 movements, and none of them are complicated, and every one of them works beneath the level where your arguments and doubts live. Do not let the simplicity fool you. Doors this old do not need force. They need the right key turned in the right order. The first movement is the formal announcement. Here is the truth your inner soldier has been waiting on for years. He does not respond to feelings. He does not respond to circumstances. He watched circumstances improve before and got ambushed anyway. The only thing a soldier of that rank responds to is a direct order from a recognized authority. And in the country of your inner life, chosen one, there is exactly one recognized authority: your own spoken voice, not your thoughts. Your thoughts are anonymous radio chatter. Your spoken voice, out loud, carries command authority in your own nervous system in a way science is only beginning to map and scripture always knew. Death and life are in the power of the tongue. So tonight, and every night for the next 30 nights, you will stand somewhere private, feet planted, and you will speak the relieving order out loud, slowly, like a commander, not like a beggar. The order goes like this: the war is over. The season is closed and it will not reopen. You kept me alive and your service is honored. I relieve you of your watch. Stand down, come home, and rest. Say it word for word, or say it in your own language, but say it aloud, and say it daily. because Onoda did not believe the first leaflet either. Repetition from authority is what turns an announcement into a new reality. Mark this: 30 nights, 1 order. Spoken like it is true, because it is. The second movement is the evidence review. Remember, your guard is a skeptic by design. He has been fooled by quiet before, so he demands proof before standing down. And proof is exactly what you are going to give him. Every evening, before sleep, you will write down 3 pieces of evidence that the war stayed over today. They can be small. The phone rang, and it was nothing bad. The money held. The pain did not return. The person who used to torment you stayed gone. The evening was just an evening. This sounds almost childish until you understand what it does. A mind under siege keeps a threat ledger, updated hourly, and after years of siege, that ledger is the only book your guard reads. The evidence review opens a second ledger, a safety ledger. Every entry is a leaflet dropped on the island, and unlike the thoughts that fly through and vanish, written words sit there and testify. Survivors who do this one practice consistently report the strangest thing. Somewhere around week 3 or 4, the flinch starts missing its cue. Good news begins to land as good news. The system is reading the new book. The third movement is the body release, and this one matters most, because the deepest part of your war was never stored in your thoughts. It was stored in your body. The shoulders that learned to sit near your ears, the jaw that learned to clench in sleep, the breath that learned to stay shallow so you could react faster. Your body was your armor bearer through the whole siege, and it is still holding the armor up, waiting for an order nobody ever gave it. So let us give it the order right now, together. Do not skip this because you are listening in a car or at a sink. If you can, close your eyes. If you cannot, just soften your gaze. Now bring your attention to your shoulders. Do not fix them. Just notice them, the way you would notice a tired friend. Ask them, gently, what they are still bracing for. And now, breathe in slowly, and as you breathe out, say inside yourself, the war is over. You can put it down. Feel the shoulders drop, even a centimeter. That centimeter is the beginning of everything. Now the jaw. Unclench it. Let your tongue rest loose in your mouth. Breathe out again, longer this time, and let the breath say it for you. Over, done, sealed. Now the chest. Place a hand there, if you are able. Under your palm is a heart that carried you through every single day of the siege without missing one shift. Thank it, and let it slow. There. What you just felt, that small warm loosening, that is not relaxation. That is a soldier hearing the first leaflet he almost believes. Your body will need this order repeated, just like the spoken announcement. Once a day, 90 seconds, shoulders, jaw, chest, breath. That is the whole practice. You are not doing therapy on yourself. You are walking the perimeter as the new commanding officer, telling each sentry post in turn, stand down, stand down, stand down. Some posts will obey in a week. The stubborn ones took years to train and may take months to retire. Retire they will. Bodies are loyal. They just need the chain of command restored. And if something in you resists doing these practices, if a voice says this is silly or says you do not have time, I want you to look at that voice with fresh eyes tonight. Because who benefits from you staying braced? Who profits from the armor staying on? Not you, not your family. Only the old regime. Resistance to the ceremony is the last argument of a war that knows it is finished. Notice it, name it, and do the ceremony anyway. Now, before we go on, seal this section with your own hands. Go to the comments and type, I lay it down, because there are 3 declarations in this message, and this is the second one. The first was about the season. It is over. The second is about the armor. I lay it down. Type it, and as you type it, mean it about one specific thing. The vigilance, the bracing, the guard duty you have been pulling for years over a border that no longer exists. I lay it down. Let the record show it. There is a fourth movement to the ceremony, and I saved it for last because it is the hardest and the most freeing. The first three movements relieve the guard. The fourth keeps you from secretly re-enlisting him. Because here is an uncomfortable truth about long wars, chosen one, and I say it with nothing but tenderness. After enough years, war becomes familiar, and familiar things, even terrible ones, have gravity. Some survivors keep the war alive without knowing it. They rehearse old battles in the shower, winning arguments that ended years ago. They tell the war stories so often that the war stays the biggest thing that ever happened to them. They check on their old tormentors from a distance, just to stay informed, they tell themselves. They keep one channel open to the chaos, one toxic conversation, one doom scroll, one wound they finger like a coin in a pocket. Not because they want the pain, because the pain is the country they know, and peace is a foreign land. So the fourth movement is a border patrol, and it has one rule. Nothing from the old war gets imported into the new season. Watch your conversations for a week and notice how often the old season tries to be the topic. You honor the war by learning from it, not by living in it. Tell the story when it helps someone climb out. Refuse the story when it is just the old regime asking for airtime. Watch your habits the same way. The late night checking, the rehearsing, the keeping of tabs. Each one is a supply line to a defeated enemy, and supply lines are yours to cut. You do not need to fight the old thoughts. Fighting is war, and we are done with war. You simply notice, you name it, there is the old regime asking for funding, and you decline, gently, repeatedly, like a border guard who does not argue with smugglers, just turns them around at the line. And learn the difference between an echo and a warning, because this is where survivors get stuck for years. When anxiety spikes in your new season, it will come dressed as information. It will say, the disaster is coming back. Here is the test. A true warning points at something specific and present, a real decision, a real person, a real date. An echo points backward at the shape of an old pain. Warnings come with instructions. Echoes come with dread. When you check and find no specifics, no decision, no present danger, you may classify the alarm as an echo, thank the guard for his diligence, and return to your day. You are not ignoring wisdom. You are retiring propaganda. Do these four movements, chosen one, the announcement, the evidence, the body release, the border patrol, 30 days. That is the welcome home ceremony your ancestors would have thrown you, rebuilt for a modern survivor. And somewhere in those 30 days, on an ordinary afternoon, you will not see coming. You will notice the silence inside, where the vigilance used to hum. That silence has a name. We named it at the beginning. Shalom, beginning to land. The completeness, moving back in. Now, I want to lift your eyes from the ceremony to the horizon, because a welcome home is not the end of a soldier story. It is the beginning of a civilian one. And you, chosen one, have not been a civilian in so long that your imagination may have quietly given up on picturing what your life is actually for, now that it is no longer about surviving. So let me lend you my eyes for a few minutes. Let me show you what people become on the other side of a completed siege. There is a moment in the old scriptures that gives me chills every time, because it is the exact moment you are standing in. After 40 years of wilderness, the people of Israel finally crossed the Jordan River into the land they had been promised. And what is the first thing that happened on the other side? Not a battle, not a building project, a ceremony. At a place called Gilgal, they stopped, and heaven spoke one sentence over them. This day I have rolled away the reproach of the old life from off you. rolled away, like a stone too heavy for human hands. And then they did two things at Gilgal that I want you to notice. They set up stones of remembrance, physical evidence of the crossing, so that on hard days they could walk back and touch proof that the wilderness had really ended. Your evidence journal is your Gilgal stones, chosen one. Same technology, 4,000 years apart. And there was a second thing at Gilgal. The manna stopped. The survival bread, the emergency provision of the wilderness years, ended, and they began to eat the produce of the land. Survival provision gave way to inheritance provision. Mark that distinction, because it describes the financial and practical shift coming to your life. In the siege years, provision came like manna, just enough, just in time, one day at a time, often at the last hour. You learned to live on rescue economics, and you were grateful, but it kept your nose at the waterline. Inheritance economics is different. It is planted, tended, harvested. It compounds. It arrives through your gifts, instead of despite your circumstances. The vault we spoke of, the buried brightness, that is where your inheritance economy runs from. One more reason the reopening matters so much. Now come with me into 3 rooms of your future. I am not flattering you. I am forecasting from a mechanism the same way we have done all night. Room 1 is a workroom. It is about 18 months from now. You are working on something that uses the full stack of what the siege built in you. The discernment, the depth, the proof. Maybe it is a business, a ministry, a book, a class, a garden, a workshop. The specific shape belongs to you. What I can see is the posture. You are leaning in, not bracing. Time is disappearing the way it did when you were 8. And the thing you are building is working, because it is built out of your actual story, and actual stories are the one material that cannot be counterfeited. Room 2 is a table. There are people around it who feel safe with you in a way they cannot fully explain. Some are family whose faces have changed because they watched you come back to life and it gave them permission to soften too. Do not underestimate that ripple, chosen one. Listen, when a survivor fully comes home, the whole household stands down by degrees. Children sleep differently in a house where the strongest person finally unclenched. And some at the table are new people, drawn in by the light that came back on in you, the way travelers are drawn to a lit window at night. The loneliness of the siege years, that too was seasonal. The table is coming. Room 3 has no people in it. Just you, early morning, sitting in the quiet you used to fear. And the quiet is friendly now. That is the room I most want you to see. Because the deepest promotion of your new season is not money or opportunity or even restored brilliance. It is that your own inner world becomes a home instead of a checkpoint. You, alone with your thoughts, at peace. If you have not had that in years, let this be the first room you visit when you do the ceremony each night. And here is the thread that ties all 3 rooms together. Timing. You did not miss anything by coming home late. I know the grief math you have been doing, the counting of lost years, the imagining of who you would be if the siege had never happened or had ended sooner. Let me hand you a different arithmetic. Hear this. In the old language, there are 2 words for time. Chronos, the tick of the clock, the calendar time in which you feel late, and kairos, the appointed moment, the ripeness, the door that opens on schedule regardless of the clock. Your restoration is not arriving in Chronos, it is arriving in Kairos. Consider the facts. The war ended in the same season this message found you. The message found you in the same generation that the science of reopening the mind finally matured. 50 years ago, a survivor like you would have lived out their days with the vault sealed because the key had not been found yet. Think about what that means. You happen to be standing at the one intersection of history where the ancient ceremony and the modern key exist at the same time, and you arrived at this intersection the very week your door closed behind you. Late, Chosen one, you are the opposite of late. You are devastatingly on time. If this message has been feeding you tonight, and if you want more like it in the seasons ahead, subscribe and stay close. Consider it joining a table of people walking the same road home. Now, remember the question I asked you to hold all the way back near the start. The laboratories, the doctor in New York, the question of whether what was taken can be given back. I have not forgotten it, and I keep my promises. The key is coming just minutes from now, and when it arrives, you will understand why 18,000 people call it the strangest 8 minutes of their day. But the key has one rule, and the rule is why I am making you wait a little longer. The key only turns for a relieved guard, and between you and the fully relieved guard stand 2 final ambushes that catch almost every returning warrior. 2 forms of unfinished business that can quietly rearm the soldier even after a perfect ceremony. Nobody warned Miriam about them. She lost 6 weeks to the first one. I will not let that happen to you. The first ambush is the ledger of names. Every siege has human faces attached to it somewhere. The person who left, the person who lied, the ones who watched you drown and chose comfortable silence. The system, the boss, the church, the family member who should have been shelter and was weather instead. And somewhere inside you there is a ledger with those names in it, and next to each name, a debt. What they took, what they broke, what they never paid back. I am not going to insult your intelligence by telling you the debts are not real. They are real. Some of the people in your ledger did things that would make strangers weep if they heard the details. Your accounting is accurate, chosen one. That has never been the problem. The problem is what holding the ledger does to the holder. Because here is what nobody tells you about resentment. It is a security contract. As long as a name sits unforgiven in your ledger, your inner guard classifies that name as an active threat. And an active threat means the war is not over. And if the war is not over, the guard cannot stand down. Ever. Do you see the trap? You can do the announcement, the evidence journal, the body release, all of it perfectly, and one nursed grudge will quietly countermand every order because the ledger tells the soldier the enemy is still out there. Unforgiveness is not a moral failure in this picture. It is a technical one. It keeps a file open, that keeps a guard posted, that keeps a vault sealed, that keeps you dim. The person in your ledger may be sleeping peacefully tonight, utterly unaware, while their name keeps your brightness in prison. That arrangement should offend you. It offends heaven. So let us close the files, and let me be precise about what forgiveness is, because the word has been abused, and you may be braced against it. Forgiveness is not saying it did not matter. It mattered. Forgiveness is not reconciliation. Some doors should stay closed, and your discernment, the weapons-grade kind, gets to decide which. Forgiveness is not a feeling. If we wait for warm feelings toward the people in the ledger, we will wait forever. Forgiveness is one specific act. It is transferring the debt out of your collection department and into the hands of the only judge with full records and real authority. You are not canceling the debt. You are reassigning the collections. Heaven keeps perfect books. Chosen one, better books than your midnight replays could ever keep. Nothing done to you has been lost, or forgotten, or minimized. Handing over the ledger does not mean the account vanishes. It means you stop working unpaid night shifts in the collections office of your own trauma, chasing debts you have no power to collect anyway. So here is a small ceremony inside the ceremony, and it takes 1 minute. Picture the ledger. Old, heavy, leather, the pages soft from handling. See the names in your own handwriting, and notice, without judging yourself, how well thumbed some pages are. Now picture a table, and across the table, the judge, trustworthy, unhurried, with eyes that have seen every second of your story, including the parts no witness survived to tell. Now slide the ledger across the table. Do not tear out any pages first. The whole book. Watch 2 hands receive it, and hear 1 sentence spoken over the exchange. I saw everything, and I will handle everything, and you are relieved of collections. And as you breathe out, right now, slowly, let your hands remember what they feel like empty. If tears came anywhere near the surface just now, you found a live file. Do this again tonight, alone, with that specific name, 1 minute. The whole book, every night, until the page stays slid. That is ambush 1. Now the second, and this one is subtler, because it does not wear an enemy face, it wears your own. The second ambush is the grief for the lost years. It usually arrives a few weeks into freedom, right when things are visibly improving, which is why it blindsides people. You will be standing in your restored life, and suddenly the mathematics of the theft will hit you. It hits hard. The birthdays spent surviving, the decade of dimmed brightness, the person you might have been, and a voice will say, "It is too late, too much was taken, the best years are gone." Hear me carefully. That grief deserves respect, not suppression. Something real was taken, and pretending otherwise is just armor with a smile painted on it. You are allowed to mourn the lost years, chosen one. Mourning is not weakness, and it is not ingratitude. The people at Gilgal wept too, some of them, for the generation that never crossed. Give the grief its hour, but do not give it the pen, because the voice that says the best years are gone is not grieving. It is prophesying, and it is prophesying falsely, and I can prove it. There is a promise in the old book, spoken through a prophet named Joel to a people whose entire economy had been eaten by locusts, year after year after year, everything devoured, fields, savings, futures, and into that devastation, heaven spoke one of the strangest sentences in all of Scripture. I will restore to you the years that the locust has eaten, not the crops, the years. Read it again if you need to. The promise is not that new crops will grow, though they will. The promise is that the time itself, the stolen years, will somehow be paid back. How do you pay back years? I used to wonder about that until I watched it happen in restored lives, and now I understand. Restoration compresses. A person comes fully back online, guard relieved, vault open, both minds synchronized, and they accomplish more in 18 months than in the previous 15 years. Relationships deepen in one summer to depths that decades of armored living never reached. Joy returns not at the old volume but louder, because the person now knows the price of every laugh. The years come back, chosen one, not as calendar pages, as density, as a life so concentrated that the arithmetic of loss collapses. Job got the doubled portion after his siege, and the old text makes a point of saying the latter part of his life was blessed more than the beginning, not despite the losses. Somehow, mysteriously, through the mechanism the losses built, that is the trajectory you are on. So when the grief for lost years comes, and it will come, let it sit at your table as a guest with an hour to speak. And when its hour is done, stand up, open the door for it kindly, and go back to building your latter house. The one, the prophecy says, outshines the former. 2 ambushes, named and disarmed, the ledger and the grief. Add them to your border patrol, and the guard has nothing left to rearm him, which means the sequence is nearly complete. The war is over. The signs confirmed it. The guard is being relieved by ceremony. The files are closing. The grief has a chair but not a pen. There is exactly one piece left, the piece I have been promising since the beginning, and there is nothing left standing between you and it. Whatever you are doing right now, settle in, because the next few minutes are the reason this message exists, and for some of you, they will be the hinge on which the whole next decade turns. Let us go get your key. And since we are naming the ambushes honestly, there is a third experience I must warn you about, though it is not an ambush at all. It only feels like one. Sometime soon, possibly in the next few weeks, you may hit a wall of exhaustion so total it frightens you. Now that the adrenaline of the siege is draining away, the tiredness it was masking for years is finally free to be felt. Survivors often panic here. They think, the battle is over, I should be soaring. Why can I barely get off the couch? Chosen one, there is a man in the old book who can answer that from experience. Elijah, on the day of his greatest victory, the showdown on the mountain, fire from heaven, the long war against a corrupt regime, decisively won. And what do we find him doing shortly afterward? Not celebrating. We find him a day into the wilderness, collapsed under a broom tree, so depleted he asked to die. The victory was real. The collapse came anyway, because the body pays its war bills after the war. Never during. During, there is no time to be tired. After, the invoice arrives all at once. Now watch, carefully, how heaven treated its exhausted champion, because this is the treatment plan for you. No rebuke, not one syllable of disappointment. An angel came, and what did the angel bring? A sermon? A new assignment? No, food and sleep. He ate, and he slept, and the angel woke him and fed him again, and he slept again. The most spiritual prescription in that entire chapter is a nap and 2 meals. Let that reorder your theology of rest, friend. When heaven found its warrior empty, heaven cooked. Only later, after the body was refilled, came the mountain and the famous lesson. The wind tore the rocks, but the presence was not in the wind. The earthquake shook, but the presence was not in the earthquake. The fire raged, but the presence was not in the fire. And after the fire, a still small voice, a low whisper. That is where the presence was. Do you understand what Elijah had to unlearn under that broom tree? He had lived so long in a season of dramatic warfare that he only knew how to find God in dramatic packaging. Wind, quake, fire, crisis, battle, showdown. And the lesson of his restoration was that the next season would not speak that language. The next season would speak in whispers, in quiet mornings, in small wants, in ordinary Tuesdays. If he kept scanning for fire, he would miss the voice entirely. You have the same unlearning ahead, chosen one. Your ear got trained by years of alarms, and now the important things are going to arrive quietly. The nudge toward the right door will be a whisper, not a siren. The confirmation you pray for will come as peace, not as lightning. Do not mistake the drop in volume for the absence of the voice. The volume dropped because the emergency ended. Whispers are what guidance sounds like in peacetime. So when the wall of tiredness comes, do not fight it and do not fear it. Eat well, sleep shamelessly. Let the angel feed you twice. The exhaustion is not a setback. It is the last invoice of the old war being paid, and you have the funds now. And on the other side of that deep rest, listen low. The still small voice has things to tell you about the road ahead that it could never say over the sirens. One more detail from that broom tree story, and then we move on, because this detail is easy to miss, and it might be the most tender one of all. When Elijah finally poured out his heart on the mountain, the deepest wound he named was not the danger and not the fatigue. It was the loneliness. I alone am left, he said. Years of battle had convinced him that nobody else understood, nobody else stood where he stood, nobody else carried what he carried. Perhaps you know that conviction from the inside. And heaven answered the loneliness twice. First with a correction, gently delivered. You are not alone. There are 7,000 others who never bowed, an entire hidden company walking the same faithful road out of sight. And second, with a person. Almost the next assignment Elijah received was to go find Elisha, a companion, a successor, someone to walk the remaining miles beside him. The prescription for the warrior under the broom tree in full was this: food, sleep, a whisper, a correction of the lonely math, and a friend. Expect the same medicine, chosen one. The isolation of your siege told you lonely lies, and the wide place is going to correct the math. There is a hidden company out there, thousands strong, walking out of their own jungles this very season. Some of them are in the comments below this message right now, typing the same declarations you typed, laying down the same armor. And somewhere among them are the 2 or 3 faces heaven is already routing toward your table. Companionship after a long war feels risky, and you will be tempted to keep the drawbridge up. Lower it anyway, slowly, at the speed of health. The 7,000 are real, and you were never as alone as the siege insisted, and the proof of that is going to knock on your life repeatedly over the coming year. Answer the knocks, chosen one. Tables are not built by one pair of hands, and yours is going to need chairs. While the ceremony does its quiet work over the coming weeks, something else needs to begin in parallel, because a relieved soldier is not the end of your story. It is the beginning of a promotion. And I want to talk about that promotion now, because knowing what you are being promoted into will carry you through the days when the feelings lag and the echoes get loud. There is a story in the old book about a man who lived among tombs. That was his whole address. A man so tormented that the community had given up on him, chained him, and finally just left him out there with the dead. If anyone had a siege, he did. And then, in a single encounter, the whole thing ended. The torment left. The man was found sitting, clothed, and in his right mind, which remains the most beautiful description of restoration ever written. Sitting, clothed, in his right mind, not performing, not fighting, just present, whole, and quiet inside. But it is what happens next that concerns you, chosen one. The restored man begged to leave with his rescuer, to get on the boat, to stay close to the miracle and far from the town that had chained him. It is the most understandable request in the world, and he was told no. He was given something better than a boat seat. He was given an assignment. Go home to your people and tell them what was done for you. And the text says, he went and told it through 10 cities. 10 cities from a man whose previous occupation was screaming among graves. Do you see the pattern? Restoration always graduates into commission. Heaven does not spend years forging discernment, depth, and proof in a person just so that person can sit safely in a corner being grateful. The forging was for something. Somewhere in your future there are rooms you have not entered yet where your story is the exact key that fits the lock. People in pits that have your old handprints on the walls. A version of this message, spoken in your voice, over coffee, to one person at the end of their rope. 10 cities can start with one kitchen table. Now let me relieve you of a pressure you may have just felt, because survivors hear the word assignment and reach for their armor. This commission does not mean hurry. It does not mean a platform, a ministry launch, a book deal by spring. Look at the order of the words again. Sitting, clothed, in his right mind, first. 10 cities later. The promotion begins with becoming fully well, and becoming fully well is itself the first assignment. You witness better as a restored person than as a bleeding one. Give yourself the same patience heaven is giving you. And when the assignment does begin to move, it will not feel like pressure. It will feel like the workroom I showed you earlier. Leaning in, not bracing. The things built in the siege have a way of finding their own doors. Your only job is to walk through the ones that open and to stay honest about the story. Tell it with the scars showing. Polished testimonies encourage nobody. It is the visible mend in the fabric that makes another survivor believe mending exists. There is a second half to this promotion, and it is closer to home. Before the 10 cities, before the kitchen tables, there is a household that has been living with a soldier for years. Your people, the ones who loved you through the siege, who learned to read your silences, who tiptoed around your tension and made excuses for your absences even when you were in the room. They served too, chosen one. They just served without the rank. As you come home to yourself, come home to them. Some repairs will happen without a word, just from the change in your face. Others will need language. There may be an apology or two worth making, not for having been at war, that was never your choice, but for the shrapnel that landed on people who stood close. Nothing rebuilds a household faster than a survivor who says, "I see what those years cost you too, and I am back now." Watch what happens at your table in the months after that sentence. And watch the children, if there are children in your world. Children calibrate their sense of safety off the strongest person in the house, and they have been reading your bracing for years without a word being spoken. They will read the unclenching too. Long after they forget what the hard season was about, their bodies will remember the year the house exhaled. Your ceremony is not private, chosen one. It is generational. Every guard you relieve in yourself is a guard your children will not inherit. I want to add one more name to your new season vocabulary, because you will need it when the newness starts arriving, and it will arrive. New people, new invitations, new opportunities, new doors. After a long famine, a feast can be as disorienting as hunger was. Survivors often panic in the plenty, because plenty is unfamiliar territory, and unfamiliar territory reads as threat to a freshly retired guard. So here is the name. We call this season the Wide Place. It comes from an old psalm where the writer, looking back on his own siege, says, "You brought me out into a wide place. You rescued me because you delighted in me." A wide place. After years in the narrow corridor of survival, where every choice was forced and every margin was thin, you are stepping into territory with room in it. Room to choose slowly. Room to say no. Room to try things and be bad at them at first. Room to rest without the rest being stolen. The rule of the wide place is that you are allowed to move at the speed of health rather than the speed of fear. In the corridor, everything was urgent. In the wide place, almost nothing is. Opportunities that demand instant answers in your new season are usually the old regime wearing a new costume. Real doors stay open long enough for a restored mind to consider them properly. Write that down somewhere. You will see it, because it will save you from the survivor trap of grabbing the first exit ramp out of sheer habit. So, this is your near future, chosen one. A ceremony working in the background, a household exhaling, a wide place opening, an assignment warming up in the wings. And running underneath all of it, one practical question that decides how fast the whole thing unfolds. How quickly can your mind, the actual instrument that has to live all of this, come back to full capacity? Because everything I just described, the workroom, the table, the 10 cities, all of it runs on the hardware between your ears. Which brings us, at last, all the way back to the laboratory door we have been circling since the beginning. You have waited long enough. And more importantly, you are now ready in the way that matters. The guard knows the war is over. The files are closing. The sequence is honored. Now we open the vault. The vault opens in 2 stages, and I am going to give you both, honestly, including the costs of each, because you are done being sold half a map by people who benefit from your circling. Stage 1 is the slow reopening. It is free. It is ancient. It works, and I will teach it to you right now. Stage 2 is the accelerated reopening, the one from the laboratory. And when I show it to you, you will understand why I taught you the slow way first. A person who knows the slow way can never be fooled about what the fast way is actually doing. Here is the principle under stage 1. The bridge between your 2 minds closed through repetition, Thousands of days where only the accountant got exercise, and it reopens the same way, through repetition, in reverse. Every time you deliberately use the artist mind, one thread across the bridge restrings itself. Use it daily, and threads become cords, cords become cables, and one day the traffic flows again. The practices are almost embarrassingly simple. Their power is not in their difficulty, it is in their dosage. Practice 1 is wonder exposure. Once a day, put yourself in front of something that is bigger than your to-do list and has no use to you whatsoever. A sunset you actually watch instead of photograph. Rain on a window. A piece of music from the year you were 17, played with your eyes closed. Wonder is the artist mind, stretching after long sleep. In the siege years you learned to walk past beauty, because beauty did not pay the bills or watch the perimeter. Now beauty is medicine, and walking past it is skipping a dose. Practice 2 is useless creating. Twice a week, make something that does not matter. Doodle badly. Hum a tune you invent. Rearrange a shelf by color instead of logic. Cook without a recipe and let it be strange. I am fully serious about the uselessness. The moment a creation has stakes, the accountant takes over, and the artist retreats. Children reopen this door effortlessly because nothing they make has consequences. You are not making art. You are doing physical therapy on the buried half of your own mind, and clumsiness is proof the right muscle is working. Practice 3 is the question walk. Once a week, take a walk with one strange question and no phone. What would my life look like if rest were a skill? What did 8-year-old me know that I have forgotten? What is the kindest possible explanation for the thing that hurt me? Do not hunt the answer. Carry the question loosely, the way a child carries a jar hoping something interesting will fly into it. The artist mind does not answer interrogations. It answers invitations on its own schedule, usually somewhere around the second mile. And practice 4 is the childhood inventory. Sometime this month, sit down with a notebook and finish this sentence 10 times. Before everything got heavy, I loved. Write what comes. Drawing horses, taking apart radios, reading under blankets, singing in the car. Somewhere in that list, usually around item 6 or 7, when the obvious answers run out, you will hit one that stings with recognition. Pay attention to the sting. That sting is a live wire to the vault, chosen one. Whatever it is, schedule 1 hour with it this month. Not to monetize it, to visit it. The fastest road back to who you are runs through what you loved before the war. Do these 4 practices, and the bridge will restring, thread by thread. People have healed this way for centuries without a single laboratory, because the design was always self-repairing given the right inputs. So let me be direct about the cost, since I promised honesty. The cost is time and consistency. Done faithfully, the slow way typically takes seasons, not days. Months of showing up before the fog visibly thins. A year or more before the full voltage returns, depending on how long the siege ran and how deep the rationing went. And here is where I have to be tender with you, because there is a particular ache in what I just said. You have already lost years. The one currency a survivor guards most jealously is time. Telling a person who just got their life back that the fullness is another year or 2 of disciplined practice away is true, and it is also heavy. Some of you can carry that timeline with joy, and if that is you, the 4 practices are your whole path, and everything else I am about to say is simply information. But some of you felt something drop when I said seasons, because you are standing in front of open doors right now. The wide place is here now. The assignment is warming up now. The household is watching now. And the instrument those things are waiting on is running at half power now. For you, the question that has been open since the first minutes of this message just became urgent in a new way. Is there a faster road across the bridge? That question is not impatience. Hear me on this, because survivors are quick to accuse themselves, wanting your mind back sooner rather than later, when real doors are open and real people are waiting, is not a character flaw, it is stewardship. The farmer who buys a plow instead of digging with his hands is not cheating the field, he is honoring the harvest. The only real questions are whether a faster road exists, whether it is legitimate, and what it costs. And after everything we have walked through tonight, you have earned straight answers to all three. So now I close the loop that has been open since the beginning of this message. I told you there was something discovered in research laboratories that I would come back to at the right moment. I told you about the doctor in New York who spent decades on the trail. Dr. Roger Sperry opened. I made you hold the question through the ceremony, through the ambushes, through the wide place, and I watched you hold it, and the moment has arrived. Because what they found is not information. What they found is a solution. And a solution only becomes useful once you understand the full shape of the problem it solves. You, of all people, now understand the shape. Before I take you inside, one final declaration. This is the fourth one, and it belongs right here, at the threshold. Go to the comments and type, I receive it all. Not, I hope, not, I will try. I receive it all. The peace that was promised, the years being restored, the brightness coming out of the vault, the wide place, the table, the assignment, all of it. Some of you have been living on crumbs so long that receiving feels like trespassing. It is not trespassing when your name is on the inheritance. Chosen one, type it, I receive it all. Let me gather everything into one plain sentence first, so the ground under us is solid. Here is the whole message so far, stripped of every story. Your battle did not end when the pain stopped. It ends when you stop living braced for its return and take back what survival mode disconnected in you. That is the entire teaching. The ceremony relieves the bracing. The vault work restores the disconnection. Peace stops the war. Shalom returns the plunder. You need both, in that order. And tonight you learned both. Everything else now is acceleration. So, the laboratory, let us finally walk in, and let me tell you what has been happening on the scientific side of your story while you were surviving, because heaven has a habit of preparing answers in rooms we would never think to check. After Dr. Roger Sperry received the Nobel Prize in 1981 for proving that your two hemispheres are two distinct minds, designed to work in synchronization, a generation of researchers took his work in a direction he never lived to see. They asked the obvious next question. If the synchronized state produces what we call genius, and if nearly every small child lives in that state, what exactly turns it off, and can it be turned back on? The first answer you already know, because you have lived it. Modern life turns it off. Schooling that drills only the accountant, work that pays only the accountant, screens that flood the senses while the deep mind starves. And on top of all that, for people like you, the great accelerant, prolonged survival stress, which does not merely neglect the bridge, but actively locks it. The researchers confirmed what we walked through earlier tonight. Hear their verdict. The dimming is not age, and it is not spiritual failure. It is a physiological event, and it happens to almost everyone, which is why almost everyone assumes it is normal. The second answer took longer, and this is where the story becomes almost unfair in its timing, because the same decades that ran down your siege were the decades a small field of researchers spent learning how to reopen the bridge deliberately, in specialized clinical settings, using extended neural synchronization protocols. They found they could measurably restore communication between the hemispheres. People emerged from these protocols describing the same strange experience in the same words. Like a light coming back on in a room I forgot my house had. The catch was access. These protocols lived in clinics, In-person neurofeedback sessions run hundreds of dollars an hour. The machines cost thousands. The full clinical sequences run over an hour a day. So the doors stayed narrow. Whole brain restoration existed, but it belonged to executives and athletes, and the kind of people who can spend a mortgage payment on their own head. The people who needed it most, the survivors, the dimmed, the ones whose brightness was taken by years nobody paid them back for, could not touch it. That bothered one man in particular, a neurologist in New York City who had spent his career watching patients live at half voltage. You have been holding his story since the first minutes of this message. In a moment, I will finish it. But first I want you to hear two voices, because before you meet the answer, you should meet the people who found it before you. A woman from California described what her life felt like before. She had tried everything her community offered: prayer, journaling, meditation, every practice, sincerely, for years. And she kept arriving at the same experience. She believed the words, but could not feel the reality behind them. Not in her body, not in the lived texture of her days. It was all signal and no reception. After 10 days of what I am about to describe, she said something cleared. A channel that had been blocked was suddenly open, not because she tried harder, because the receiver had been repaired. And a man from Texas, a provider, someone who had spent years holding everything together for everyone around him, while his own interior life went thin and distant. He said prayer had started to feel like talking into a wall. The frequency was right, but the receiver was off. He was skeptical in the way tired men are skeptical, which is to say completely. Then the second week arrived. 2 weeks in, he woke up one morning and described his mind as finally running on all of what it was supposed to run on. The fog that had been so constant, he had stopped registering it as fog was gone. His words were simple. I did not get something new, I got something back. Hear the pattern in both voices, because it is your pattern. Neither of these people lacked faith. Neither of them was lazy. They were dimmed receivers, doing everything right through a blocked channel, exactly like a certain survivor I have been talking to all night. What changed for them was not more effort on the signal side, it was repair on the receiving side. That distinction is the entire reason I structured this message the way I did. That is because of what the team I am about to describe discovered. The neurologist in New York is named Dr. Daniel Barone, and the question that drove him was the access question. He and his team took the clinical approach, over an hour of neural sync technology of the kind used in specialized medical settings, and they spent years on a single stubborn goal: compress it, refine it, distill the active mechanism down to something an ordinary person could use at a kitchen table, with nothing but headphones and 8 minutes. 8 minutes. That was the threshold they finally crossed. An 8-minute targeted auditory sequence that carries the synchronization work of the long clinical protocols. You put on headphones, you close your eyes, you listen, once a day. There is no technique to master, no mantra, no journaling requirement, no perfect mental state to achieve first. The sequence does its work beneath your awareness, which is precisely the point, because the level it works on is underneath the thinking mind, down where the guard lives, and the bridge begins. They call it the genius switch. Let me tell you what it is not, because your discernment is standing right beside you, and I want it there. It is not a brainwave product. If you have tried those and found them underwhelming, Dr. Barone addresses that directly. Sound waves alone target only a fraction of the picture. What his team built targets hemisphere synchronization at the whole brain level. It is a multi-layer protocol refined from years of clinical work, built directly on the foundation Dr. Roger Sperry laid. Different mechanism, different category of result. It is not a meditation app. It is not mood music. It is a tool with one job: reopening the bridge so the two minds you were born with can fire together again. And I want you to notice how strangely well it fits everything we have walked through tonight, because I noticed it too. The ceremony we did relieves the guard, but the reopening of the vault still takes the bridge restringing, and the slow practices restring it over seasons. This compresses the same work into a daily 8-minute window that runs underneath your awareness, past the skeptical gatekeeper, down at the level where the locks actually are. The slow way and the fast way are not enemies. One is walking, one is being carried, the first miles, until your legs remember. Now, this is not for everyone, and I mean that without any theater. The genius switch is for the chosen one, who understands that God prepared not only the promise but the mind that must walk into it. The person who has been sincere for years, who did the surviving, who is doing the ceremony, who has stopped treating the fog as a character flaw and started treating it as something with a specific address. Most people who hear this will scroll past because they have accepted the reduced version of their mind as permanent. But look at you. You are still here, this deep into a message this long. That is not coincidence. That is the specific kind of persistence that belongs to the person this was built for. So let us talk plainly about cost, because you have earned plain talk. When colleagues of Dr. Barone saw what the team had built, the number they suggested was $500, and honestly, next to the alternatives, that holds up. In-person neurofeedback runs $300 an hour, session after session. Home synchronization machines cost thousands. Against that landscape, $500 for the compressed clinical mechanism would have been a bargain. That is not the price. It was released at $49, and on the official page right now, there is an additional $10 off, $39. One dinner out. For the tool that 18,000 ordinary people are already using to walk back across the bridge. And they included 4 free bonuses with it. A guided visualization from a top-rated creator on the Calm app, walking you through your restored life in money, love, health, and happiness. A smart grocery guide exposing the common foods that feed brain fog, with shortcuts that save families over $100 a month. A classic manifestation book more than a century old. The root text behind half the modern teachings, free at checkout. And a beautifully designed infographic of the 5 habits that build an ideal future, made to print and hang where you will see it. And underneath all of it sits the guarantee. And this is the part that tells you what the team believes about their own work. A 100% ironclad money-back guarantee. Listen once, listen 80 times. If it does not do for you what it has done for 18,000 others, every dollar comes back. No conditions, no interrogation, which means the risk of trying it is 0, and the only real cost on the table is the cost of the bridge staying closed. One caution, and then I will say the quiet part and let this go. The provision God has already placed near you becomes visible in the synchronized state in a way it simply does not in the partial state. Not because the provision is new, because the receiver that recognizes it comes back online. What has been arranged for you is already in motion, chosen one. The only question is whether you arrive at the meeting point with the receiver restored. That is not sales pressure. That is the same stewardship logic as the farmer and the plow. And the caution is this: if you search around for something with a similar name on free platforms, you will find tracks wearing the label. The team studied them. Most carry no neural sync technology at all, because the cost of naming something is 0, and the mechanism is everything. The mechanism only exists in what Dr. Barone and his team actually built, and the direct page is the only verified source. That is where the link below points. In the description and in the pinned comment, you can read every detail on their page before deciding anything. If your spirit resonates, the door is there. If it does not, the ceremony and the 4 practices are yours forever, free, and they are enough. The tool does not replace God. Let me say that with my whole chest. It does not replace obedience. It does not do the surrendering for you, and nothing heaven is doing in you is conditional on any product. But a tool that restores the receiver gives what heaven is doing more of what it was designed to land in. That is the whole claim, no larger. The deeper current of this message is where we return now, because there are a few more things I promised you, and one of them is the reason some of you were sent here tonight. Now come back to the fire with me, because I can hear the objections some of you are carrying, and I would rather meet them in the open than let them whisper in the dark. Survivors always object. It is what kept you alive. So let us honor the objections one at a time, and you check whether yours is on the list. Some of you are the skeptic. You have watched this whole message with one eyebrow raised, waiting for the catch, and the fact that you are still here means part of you is hungrier than your suspicion. So, let me say it plainly. Your skepticism is not a sin, and I am not here to shame it. It is a scar, and scars deserve respect. But notice what your skepticism has actually been protecting you from lately. Not from danger, from hope. Think about when that started. Somewhere along the siege, hope started feeling like the most dangerous thing of all, because hope was what got crushed each time. So the guard started shooting hope on sight. Just see that clearly, and then ask whether that policy still serves the person you are becoming. You do not have to believe me tonight. You only have to stop executing your own hope at the gate. Some of you are the veteran. You have tried everything. Books, courses, counseling, prayer chains, practices, programs. Your shelf is a graveyard of things that were supposed to fix you, and you are tired in a way that has its own gravity. To you I say only this. Look back at the shelf with the eyes you have now. Every one of those tools was aimed at the signal, at your effort, your mindset, your discipline. How many of them even mentioned the receiver? How many knew about the guard, the delay, the bridge? So hear the verdict again. You did not fail all those methods, chosen one. Those methods failed to address the level you were wounded on. Trying the right level is not another lap around the same track. It is finally leaving the track that was never going anywhere. Some of you are the exception. You believe every word of this message. For other people, restoration is real. Vaults reopen. Years get repaid. For others, something in you is certain your case is different. Too far gone, too old, too broken, too late. I want you to hear how that certainty sounds after tonight. It is the voice of the guard, doing the last job he knows, protecting you from a disappointment by canceling the delivery. But there is a problem with his case. There are no exceptions in the mechanism, friend. The bridge is anatomy, not favoritism. Shalom does not have a cut-off age. The same design that dimmed you is the design that restores you. And design does not check your file for worthiness before obeying its own laws. And some of you are carrying the oldest weight of all, the sense that you do not deserve the restoration, that the things you did to survive, the compromises, the failures, the people you disappointed while drowning, disqualify you from the wide place. Chosen one, listen to me. Nobody drowns gracefully. The record of your siege includes things you are not proud of because you were in a siege. And siege behavior is judged by siege standards in every court that matters. And there is more. The God who watched you survive is not waiting at the exit with a clipboard. He is waiting with a robe. Ask the man from the tombs. Ask the prodigal. The welcome home was never earned by the quality of the surviving. It was guaranteed by the one doing the welcoming. Whichever voice was yours, notice what all four have in common. Every single one is the old regime negotiating for a smaller future. The skeptic bargains you down to safety. The veteran bargains you down to fatigue. The exception bargains you down to the sidelines. The unworthy bargains you down to a debt that was already paid. And tonight, in the wide place, with the war over and the guard being relieved, you are allowed to walk away from all 4 negotiating tables. Not with a fight, just with a quiet. That season is closed, and the door you are guarding no longer exists. And for the chosen one who felt something stir when the mind was mentioned earlier, that door is still open in the description below. I will not name it again. It is a small step, but small steps taken from a clear mind have changed entire seasons, and yours is the kind of story that deserves every honest advantage available to it. Before we move toward the closing, and I should tell you, before this message ends, I am going to speak something over your life, a sealing, the kind the old world gave returning warriors. I have one more assignment for you, and it is not for you at all. Somewhere in your life there is another survivor. You already know who. The face came to you just now, unbidden. The friend who went quiet this year. Maybe it is the sister who is still in her siege. The man at work who jokes too hard and looks tired around the eyes. The one whose war is either still raging or freshly over, who is sitting tonight in the exact grey gap you sat in when this message found you. Send this to them, not with a speech. A speech would put their guard up, and you understand guards now. Just the message and a few words. This made me think of you. That is the whole assignment. You know better than anyone alive that the worst part of the siege was believing no one saw. Be the one who saw. It costs you 30 seconds, and on the other end it might be the leaflet that finally lands on the island of someone you love. And if this message has walked you somewhere tonight, if you have language now for things you have carried without words for years, tap the like one more time and let it stand as your stone at Gilgal, a marker in the ground, proof you crossed something here. The crossing is nearly complete now. What remains is the part I have been saving, the oldest part, the sealing. Take a breath, chosen one. We are going home. Let me prepare you for the next 30 days, practically, the way a good doctor prepares a patient for recovery, because knowing the map keeps you from mistaking normal healing for failure. Restoration is not a straight line, chosen one. It is a tide coming in. Waves forward, slides back, but the sea level rising the whole time. Here is roughly how the tide tends to move. Week 1 usually feels strange rather than good. You will do the announcement and feel foolish. You will write the evidence journal, and your hand will hesitate, as if putting safety in writing might jinx it. This is normal. You are speaking a language your system has not heard in years. Foolish is what fluency feels like at the start. Do it anyway. The practices work by repetition, not by conviction. A skeptical man taking the medicine still heals. Somewhere in week 2 or 3, expect the first echo storm. A day when the old dread returns out of nowhere, full volume, and a voice says, "See, it was never really over. I am telling you about this day in advance, so that when it comes, you will recognize it instead of believing it." Here is what to do with it. The echo storm is not a relapse. It is the system testing the new orders, the way a child tests a new bedtime. Run the test protocol. Check for specifics. Is there a real threat, a real date, a real decision in front of you? If not, classify it as an echo. Do the body release and go to bed early. The storm passes faster every time you refuse to salute it. Around week 3 or 4, if Miriam and thousands like her are any guide, comes the first unmistakable return. You will catch yourself laughing before you remember to be careful. You will realize an entire afternoon passed without perimeter checks. You will hum. Do not skip past these moments, chosen one. Celebrate them the way you would celebrate first steps after surgery, because that is literally what they are. Write them in the journal, in bigger letters. Every celebrated return teaches the system that brightness is safe now, and taught safety compounds. And through it all, keep the good grief hour when it knocks. Some evening in that first month, the mourning for the lost years will pull up a chair. Let it speak its hour. Hand it tissues. And when the hour ends, walk it to the door and remind it, and yourself, of the locust promise. The years come back as density. The latter house outshines the former. Grief gets a chair at your table, chosen one. It just never again gets the head seat. Now let me assemble everything into one simple daily rhythm, because you have received a great deal tonight, and simplicity is what survives contact with real mornings. 15 minutes, once a day. That is the whole ask. Here is how it stacks. First, the announcement, spoken aloud, 90 seconds. The war is over. You kept me alive. Your service is honored. Stand down and come home. Second, the body release, 90 seconds. Shoulders, jaw, chest, breath. Third, if you have chosen the accelerated path, the 8-minute sequence with headphones and closed eyes. And last, at night, the evidence journal, 3 lines, 2 minutes. That is the entire protocol. 15 minutes against years of siege. It seems disproportionate, and it is in your favor, because you are not building something from scratch. You are restoring a design that wants to come back. The child who ran whole is not a stranger you must become. It is a resident you are letting out of the basement. The design does the heavy lifting. Your 15 minutes just keeps unlocking doors. One more piece of the map, further out. Give yourself a marker at 90 days. Put it in a calendar. On that day, sit down with your evidence journal and read it from the first page. This is the Gilgal Walk, the return to the stones. People are staggered by what 90 days of recorded safety looks like in their own handwriting. The entries from week 1 read like they were written by a different person, because in the ways that matter, they were. And on that day, ask yourself the only performance review question that matters in the wide place. Am I softer than I was? Not weaker, softer. Armor off, doors open, light on. If the answer is yes, whatever else is unfinished, the restoration is on schedule. And if along the way you stumble, if you skip a week of practices, if you pick the ledger back up one bitter night, if you catch yourself back at the old perimeter walking guard duty, hear this in advance. Nothing is lost. The door you walked through tonight does not swing shut behind lapses. Grace is not a narrow window. It is the climate of the wide place. You simply begin again the next morning. The announcement, the breath, the 3 lines. The tide does not argue with the rocks. It just keeps coming in. And add 1 weekly appointment to the rhythm, the oldest medicine of all. 1 hour, once a week, of true Sabbath. Not collapse in front of a screen, which is just exhaustion wearing slippers, but deliberate, unproductive, unguarded rest. A walk with no destination and no phone. A long meal eaten slowly with someone easy to be with. An hour in a chair by a window, doing absolutely nothing that could appear on a list. The siege taught you that unproductive time is dangerous time. That stillness is exposure. That a resting person is an easy target. The Sabbath hour retrains that lie at the root. It is you, sitting in the open field of your own life, unarmed, unhurried, demonstrably safe, letting the deepest layer of the system watch and learn. Nothing happened, the system notes, week after week. We rested in the open and nothing came. That evidence compounds like the journal entries do. And one day you will notice that rest no longer takes courage. And that is when you will know the retraining is complete. Guard the hour like an appointment with a king, chosen one, because that is roughly what it is. Before we walk toward the ceiling, let me answer the 4 questions that are almost certainly circling in you right now. Because survivors always carry questions they are afraid to ask out loud, and unasked questions turn into midnight visitors. Let us handle them in the daylight instead. The first question: if my season is truly over, does that mean nothing hard will ever happen to me again? No, chosen one. And I refuse to sell you that. because a false promise now would cost you your faith later. Life on this side of heaven has weather. There will be rainy seasons ahead, ordinary difficulties, losses that belong to being human. But hear the distinction, because it changes everything. Weather is not war. A storm that passes through a free country is not a siege laid against a captive one. What ended for you is the specific, targeted, grinding season that was assigned against your becoming. The thing with your name on it. That assignment is expired, and it does not renew. The future difficulties you meet will find a different person than the last ones found. They will find someone with a relieved guard, an open bridge, a full toolbox, and a household at peace. Storms hit a fortified city very differently than they hit a battlefield. You are becoming the fortified city. That is the promise. Not a life without rain, a life where rain is just rain, ever again, never the flood. The second question, what about the pieces of my old situation that still exist? Some of you are thinking, but the debt is not fully paid off yet. The diagnosis still needs managing. The difficult person is still in my custody schedule. Does that mean my season is not really over? Listen carefully. There is a difference between war and administration. When a war ends, paperwork remains. Treaties get filed, rubble gets cleared, borders get repainted, and none of that filing means the war is still on. The leftover logistics of your old season are administration, not combat. You will handle them the way a peacetime government handles roadwork, calmly, on a schedule, without dread. The debt gets a plan instead of a panic. The condition gets managed by a clearer mind with better sleep. The difficult person gets met by someone wearing no armor they can hook. Watch how differently the leftovers behave when you stop treating them as enemies and start treating them as errands. Half their power was never in the tasks. It was in the war frame around the tasks, and the frame just came down. The third question, and this one lives close to the heart. How do I love the people who are still in their siege without getting pulled back into mine? Because some of you have a husband still in his war, a mother still under her weather, a best friend 3 years deep in the exact dark you just left, and you have noticed something that scares you. Their storms tug at your new peace, like a current at the ankles. Here is the law of the wide place for rescuers. You can reach into a pit without climbing into it, but only if your feet are planted on solid ground when you reach. Your peace is not a luxury you selfishly guard from the drowning. Your peace is the ground you rescue from. The lifeguard who jumps in and drowns alongside the swimmer saves nobody. So you keep the 15 minutes sacred, especially in seasons of rescuing. And you learn the sentence. You keep the border patrol running, especially with the people you love most. You learn to say, I can sit with you in this, and I cannot move into this with you, and both halves of that sentence are love. And you release the outcome, which is the hardest part of loving anyone. You could not have been argued out of your siege one day early, remember. The leaflets landed when they landed. Yours is to drop the leaflet, warm the soup, send the message, hold the hand. The timing of another soul walking out of their jungle belongs to a schedule you do not run. Drop your leaflets, chosen one, and leave the calendars to heaven. The fourth question is the quietest one. Can I trust the joy? Some of you have felt it flickering back these past weeks, little sparks of it, and each time it comes, an old superstition rises with it. Do not celebrate, whispers the guard. Celebration attracts attention. If we laugh too loudly, something will hear us and come take it back. Some of you have carried that superstition so long, you think it is humility. It is not humility. It is siege theology, and it slanders the very heaven that just set you free. Hear the truth about joy, and let it be the last stone in this section of the road. Joy is not bait for disaster. Joy is not a debt that pain collects on later. Joy was the factory setting, chosen one. Every laugh that comes back is not a risk. It is a homecoming. One more crate carried out of the vault, one more room of the house with its lights back on. The God who watched you cry in secret is not offended by your laughing in the open. He was waiting for it. The whole point of ending the war, if you trace it all the way down, was to make the world safe for your joy again. So when the spark comes, feed it. Laugh at the whole joke, not the careful half of it. Sing the second verse too. Dance in the kitchen where the children can see, especially where the children can see. Every unguarded joy you allow is a flag planted in reclaimed territory. And territory with enough flags in it, friend, stops being a battlefield in the memory of everyone who lives there. 4 questions, 4 answers, and underneath all of them, one truth, doing the heavy lifting. The war is over, and everything that looks like the war from here forward is either weather, administration, someone else needing your leaflets, or joy testing whether it is safe to come home. None of those are enemies. You are out of enemies, chosen one. What a strange, wonderful sentence to be able to say over a life. You are out of enemies, and you are not out of time. And the best rooms of the house are just ahead. There is one more territory I have to walk you through before the ceiling, because it is where the old regime will make its final stand. The night, 3 in the morning, to be precise. Almost every survivor knows that hour. The house is silent, the defenses are asleep, and suddenly you are awake, heart going, mind, already 3 disasters deep into a scenario nobody scheduled. If the old fears are going to visit anyone, they visit then, because that is when the accountant mind is too tired to argue and the guard is easiest to startle. So here is your night watch protocol, and it is deliberately simple, because nothing complicated works at 3 in the morning. First, do not fight the waking. Fighting is war, and war feeds the old regime. Say instead, quietly, there you are, right on schedule. Naming the visit as expected strips it of half its power immediately. Panic needs surprise the way fire needs air. Second, run the specifics test right there on the pillow. Is there a real threat in this room, in this hour? A real decision that must be made before dawn? There never is. 3 in the morning has no decisions in it. It is a decision-free zone. Whatever feels urgent at that hour is an echo by definition, because real life does not schedule meetings then. Say it to yourself in those words. Nothing is decided at this hour. This is not a courtroom. It is just a dark room, and I am safe in it. And third, give the body something ancient to do. Slow the breath and count the exhales backward from 10, and with each one, drop a section of the armor. 10, shoulders, 9, jaw, 8, chest, and so on, down into the mattress. Most survivors report they rarely reach 4. The system, offered a ritual instead of a fight, remembers that night is for sleeping, and if some night the fear is stubborn and sleep will not return, do not lie there losing the battle. Get up, open the evidence journal, and read your own handwriting until the tide comes back in. Your recorded past will out-argue your imagined future every single time. Now a word about provision in the wide place, because money carries more old fear than almost anything else, and I would be failing you to seal this message without touching it. In the siege years, money was a weapon the war used against you. Every bill was an artillery shell. Every unexpected expense was an ambush, and your relationship with provision got rewired accordingly. Scarcity became not just a circumstance, but a lens, a permanent squint, a way of reading every number as a threat. In the wide place, that lens has to be handed in at the border, because inheritance economics cannot flow through a scarcity squint. I am not talking about reckless spending or magical thinking. I am talking about the posture shift from clutching to stewarding. The clutcher makes every financial decision from the memory of the siege. The steward makes decisions from the reality of the wide place. Same bank account, entirely different futures, because the steward can see doors the clutcher is too braced to notice. Here is a practice for it, small and strange like the others. Once a week, when provision arrives in any form, a paycheck, a discount, a gift, an unexpected refund, pause for 10 seconds and say, "Received, with thanks." And there is more where that came from. 10 seconds. What it does over months is retrain the deep mind from interception mode, where every incoming resource is snatched and stockpiled against disaster, to reception mode, where resources flow in, are held with gratitude, and are directed with clarity. The manna years taught you to grab. The inheritance years will teach you to receive. Let them. And now, lift your eyes, one last time, further than we have looked all night. Come to the far room. It is 5 years from now, maybe 7. There is a gathering, a table longer than the one you own today, and it is loud in the way only safe houses are loud. Somewhere in the middle of it sits you. Watch yourself for a moment from the doorway. The face is older, and it is also younger, because the tension that aged you released its lease years ago, and the light that left in the siege came back and stayed. Around that table are people whose stories bend around yours. Some share your blood. Some found you through the 10 cities, the kitchen tables, the quiet conversations where you told the truth about the war and the coming home. More than one person in that room is alive in every sense that matters, because you did not stay dim, because you did the ceremony when it felt foolish, because you slid the ledger across the table, because you let the years come back as density. The rescue operation that started with you never ends with you, chosen one. Restored people, restore people. That is the economy of the wide place, and 5 years from now you are one of its wealthiest citizens. Hold that image, because now I want to give you the oldest word in this entire message, the one I saved for the very threshold of the ceiling. There is a moment recorded at the center of history, at the darkest hour of the most important siege ever endured, when everything that needed to be accomplished had been accomplished, and one word was spoken from the cross to mark it. In the original Greek, a single word, tetelestai. Our translations render it, "It is finished." But tetelestai was not a cry of defeat, and here is the detail that should raise the hair on your arms. It was an accounting term. Merchants of that era wrote tetelestai across invoices when a debt had been paid in full, not partially settled, not renegotiated, paid entirely, once, with nothing owed and nothing left to collect. The word chosen at the hinge of eternity was a receipt. So when I tell you tonight that it is over, chosen one, understand which kind of over I mean, not the fragile over of circumstances which shift with weather, the accounting over, the tetelestai over, the invoice of your long season, examined, covered, stamped, and filed. The prosecution has no more documents. The locusts have no more legal claim on your years. The debt your suffering was supposedly paying has a word written across it in a hand stronger than yours, and the word means paid in full, and receipts do not reopen. That is the ground you are standing on as we walk into the ceiling now. Not positive thinking, not a mood. A completed transaction, older than your troubles and stronger than your relapses. Whatever the echoes say at 3 in the morning, the receipt does not change. It is finished, chosen one. Now let us finish well. What we do now, chosen one, is the activation. Everything until this point has been understanding, and understanding opens doors, but only experience walks through them. So for the next few minutes I am going to guide you somewhere, gently, and all you have to do is follow my voice. If you are driving, keep your eyes open and just listen. The words will still land, but if you are able, somewhere in these next minutes, let the eyes close and the shoulders drop, because we are going to go get the soldier. Begin with the breath. Do not change it yet, just find it. Notice the air moving in and moving out, the quiet machinery that carried you through every single day of the siege without being thanked once. Now lengthen the exhale, just a little. Breathe in for a count of 4 and out for a count of 6. Again, in 4, out 6. With every exhale, imagine the day sliding off you like a heavy coat finally allowed to fall. Now, I want you to see a road. It is early morning on this road. Mist low over the fields on either side. Light coming up gold at the edges. You are walking it easily. Nothing on your back. And you know, the way you know things in this kind of seeing, that this road leads to the island, the place where the last part of you is still stationed. The road is safe. It was cleared a long time ago. Walk it, and there, ahead, at the tree line, you see the outpost. It is smaller than you expected, weathered, sandbags grey with years. And standing at the wire, rifle still in hand, is the soldier. Look at this part of you, chosen one. Really look. The uniform is patched where it tore. The eyes are tired in a way that sleep never fixed. The posture is still perfect, still watching the horizon, because nobody ever told this part of you it could stop. This is the one who stayed up on all the nights you had to function the next day. Look closer. This is the one who took the point position through every ambush of that long war. This is the most loyal part of you that has ever existed. Walk up to the wire. The soldier sees you and straightens, waiting for orders, because that is all this part of you has ever wanted. Good orders from a good commander. And now you understand, maybe for the first time, that you are the commander. You always were. So say what commanders say at the end of a war. Say it inside yourself slowly while you look this faithful one in the eye. The war is over. We won. I have walked the whole perimeter and there is no enemy left. You kept us alive, and your service is honored, and it is written in a book that does not close. And now, soldier, hear the order you have waited years for. Stand down. Watch what happens in this seeing. The rifle lowers, slow, disbelieving. The shoulders, held square since the first day of the siege, come down by degrees, and the face, chosen one. Watch the face. The vigilance drains out of it, and underneath the vigilance is something you have not seen in a mirror in years. Youth, softness, the face from before. Now, do the thing the old ceremonies knew to do. Open the gate in the wire and bring the soldier home with you. Down the gold road, out of the mist, side by side, no words needed. And as you walk, notice you are not walking beside the soldier anymore. There is only one of you on the road now, whole, lighter, carrying nothing. That is the reunion, friend. That is what coming home to yourself feels like. Your body knows how to finish this. Let the breath go all the way out, once, and let it be a door closing gently on an empty outpost. And while that settles into you, let me anchor it to something physical, so you can find your way back here without me. Press your right hand flat over your heart, right now if you are able. Feel the warmth of the palm and the beat underneath it. This is the anchor. In the days ahead, anytime the echoes come, anytime the old bracing starts to climb your back, put the hand here, and the body will remember this road, this gate, this homecoming. One hand, one breath, and the order stands. The war is over. The soldier is home. Stay soft for another moment, because there is something I want to say to you here. In the quiet, while the armor is off, you have spent years being strong in the hardest way, alone and unwitnessed. I need you to hear that the aloneness was never the truth of your situation. It was the fog of the war. Hear the correction. You were accompanied the entire time. Every hospital corridor, every silent drive home, every 3 in the morning. The record of your siege is not stored in your trembling memory, chosen one. It is stored in the perfect memory of the one who counted every tear into a bottle, and none of it, not one night of it, was wasted or unseen. And the same presence that kept the record is the one who closed the door. You did not escape your season. You were released from it, formally, the way a prisoner is released when the sentence is served and the papers are signed. There is a difference between escaping and being released. The escapee runs and keeps looking over his shoulder. The released man walks because he has papers. You have papers, friend. Tetelestai is written on them. Walk accordingly. Breathe normally now. Let the eyes open if they were closed. Wiggle the fingers. Feel the chair, the room, the ordinary evening around you. Ordinary is about to become your favorite word, by the way. Survivors think they crave the extraordinary, but what the deep heart actually starves for through a siege is the ordinary. An uneventful Tuesday, a boring drive, a quiet phone. Let the ordinary be your luxury for a while. Chosen one, you have more than earned it, and heaven is not in a hurry with you anymore. Because arrival is not a race once the war is over. We have one thing left to do together, you and I. The old world never sent a warrior back to the village without words spoken over them. Formal words, sealing words, the kind that mark a border in time so the whole community knows, and the warrior knows, and the darkness knows that a chapter is legally closed. I told you near the middle of this message that before it ended, I would speak something over your life. That moment has come. Sit up the way you would sit for a blessing, because that is exactly what this is. Chosen one, before anything is spoken over you, let there first be thanks, because sealing without gratitude is just noise in the old traditions. So let this be witnessed quietly between you and heaven. Thank you for the survival itself, for a heart that did not stop, for a mind that bent and did not finally break, for the daily bread of the manor years, which was never impressive and never once failed to arrive, for the 2 or 3 faces that stayed when staying cost them something. And thank you, strangest of all, for whatever purpose was strong enough to justify the tuition of those years. It is not fully visible yet. The thanks can go ahead of the seeing. That is what trust does. Now receive these words, not as poetry, as transfer. Words spoken over a life at a threshold have weight the modern world forgot. But your spirit has not forgotten, and it will know exactly what to do with these. Over your mind, hear this. The siege lifted from this territory. Every watchtower built by fear is hereby decommissioned. The fog that squatted in the bright rooms is served its eviction, and the bridge between the 2 chambers is declared open for traffic, and the brilliance that was rationed away in the survival years is recalled from storage with interest. May it come back loud. May ideas find you the way they found you at 8 years old, unannounced and generous. May concentration return like a tide and wonder like a season. Your mind was never the problem, chosen one. It was the battlefield. And battlefields, when wars end, become fields again. Things will grow here. Over your body, hear this. Thank you, faithful body, bearer of the armor, keeper of the watches. The order to stand down is confirmed at every post. Shoulders released from the ears. Jaw unclenched from its long grinding. Chest opened from around the guarded heart. Stomach unknotted from its years of bracing. Sleep, deep sleep, uninterrupted sleep, dreamless when it needs to be and instructive when heaven has mail, is restored to this house. And one thing more for this faithful servant. The body kept the score of the war. Let it now keep the score of the peace. And may the first entries be recorded this very night. Over your household, hear this. The exhale that began in you spreads to every room. Where the walls absorbed years of tension, let them absorb laughter now until the balance tips. Peace on the children and the grandchildren, born and unborn, who will inherit a lighter house than the one you inherited, because you were the one who carried the heaviness to the border and left it there. The cycle you broke stays broken. The guard you relieved is not passed down. In the ledger of your family line, next to this generation, it is written, "Here the siege ended." That entry does not expire. Over your provision, hear this. The manor era closes with honor, and the inheritance era opens on schedule. May the scarcity squint dissolve from your eyes so you can see the doors already standing open in the wide place. May provision arrive through your restored gifts, through the work of your own brightened mind, planted and tended and harvested, no longer only rescued. May you receive without flinching, hold without clutching, and give without fear, because the well you draw from has been reconnected to its source. And hear the measure of it. May there be enough, chosen one, and then more than enough, and then enough to build tables with. And over your assignment, hear this. The 10 cities are waiting, and they are not in a hurry. May the story of your siege and your homecoming find its voice at the right kitchen tables, in the right hours, before the right tired eyes. May every scar be legible to the ones who need to read proof that mending exists. And may it travel. May the rescue operation that reached you tonight run through you and not stop. To the friend who went quiet, to the sister still under siege, to strangers not yet met, whose midnights have your testimony scheduled in them. You did not survive by accident, chosen one. You survived on assignment. Walk in it gently, at the speed of health, all the days of your long and restored life. Let all of that settle for a breath. There is only one movement left in this ceremony, and it belongs to you, not to me. The old world knew that a blessing received must be answered, out loud, by the one it lands on, or it hovers instead of rooting. So in a moment, when the release and the declarations come, do not just listen to them, say them, whisper them. If the house is asleep, mouth them if you are in public, but answer, chosen one, because the border between your two seasons gets drawn by your own voice, or it does not get drawn at all. Then let us draw the border, you and I, right now, right here, between everything that was and everything that begins. This is the release. Breathe in slow, and as the breath goes out, let the words go with it. Release the season, all of it, the years, the dates, the anniversaries of damage that the calendar kept flagging. They are history now, and history has no hands. It cannot reach forward and touch you. Release it. Release the names. Every name in the old ledger slid across the table one final time, out of your collection department forever. The judge has the book. The night shifts in the office of old debts are over. Your hands are empty now, and empty hands are the only hands that can receive. Release them. Release the vigilance, the scanning of rooms, the bracing before phone calls, the rehearsing of disasters in the shower, the guard duty over borders that no longer exist on any map. The soldier is home, the outpost is empty, the rifle is racked. Release it. Release the identity of the survivor. It served with honor. It is being folded now like a flag at a ceremony, with respect, with gratitude, and put away in the cabinet of things that were true once. You are not what you endured, chosen one. You are what endured it. Release the old name. Release the grief math, the counting of lost years, the phantom lives not lived, the person you might have been. The locusts have been served the restoration order, and the years are coming back as density, and the latter house is already under construction. The arithmetic of loss is not your homework anymore. Release it. And release the fear of the door reopening, the lie that peace is a trap and quiet is an ambush, the flinch at good news, the waiting for the other shoe. There is no other shoe, friend. Heaven does not run out of shoes to drop, because heaven was never dropping them. The door is sealed from the other side. Tetelestai is written on it. Release the watch for its reopening once and forever. Feel how much lighter the room just got. That lightness is not imagination. It is payload capacity coming back. Because everything you just set down was weight, and weight was the only thing the old season had left to give you. Now the hands are empty, and the back is straight. And empty hands and a straight back are exactly the posture declarations are made in. So stand in your spirit, if not on your feet, because this is the peak of the whole night, and you agreed to answer out loud. Say it. I am the one who made it through, not the one who almost broke, the one who did not. The record is in, the record is permanent, and the record says I stood back up every single time. I am the one who made it through. Say it. I am relieved of my watch. The war is over, and I am not on duty tonight or tomorrow or ever again in that old field. I sleep as a civilian now. I wake as a builder now. The only thing I guard from this day is the garden, not the wall. I am relieved, and I accept the relief. Say it. I am not the fog, and I never was. My mind is a field where a war was fought, and the war is gone, and things will grow here that will astonish me. The brightness of my childhood was stored, not stolen, and it is being returned with interest, and I will not apologize for shining at full voltage in a dim room ever again. Say it. I am restored, and restoration is my new address. I receive the years as density. I receive the table, the workroom, the wide place, the 10 cities, in whatever order heaven sends them. I stopped earning my welcome a long chapter ago. I am the child of the house now, and the house is at peace, and the peace begins in me. And say this last one slowly, because it is the border stone itself. It is over. It is over. It is over. And I will never have to go through that again. And I know it in the place where knowing cannot be argued with, because heaven said it first, and my own voice just agreed. And what my voice agrees to with heaven, no echo, no midnight, and no memory has the authority to repeal. There it is, chosen one. Do you feel where those words landed? Mark this hour. You walked into this message as a survivor, still braced in the doorway of freedom, and you are walking out as a citizen of the wide place with papers in your hand. One more declaration remains, the shortest one, and it belongs in the comments where the whole company of returning warriors can see it. Type the words, I am free. 3 words, all capitals if your spirit insists. Here is why it matters. Let it stand in the record of this night among thousands of others, a wall of border stones, each one marking the exact spot where the war of one more chosen one officially ended. And when the echoes come someday, as echoes do, you can come back to this very message and find your own stone standing in the wall, dated, witnessed, permanent. The soldier is home. The vault is opening. The years are on their way back. Go slowly into this good season, friend. Rest before you build. Laugh before you strategize. Hold the small wants like the treasures they are. Do the 15 minutes. Read your own handwriting on the hard nights. Send the leaflet to the one whose face you saw. And leave the armor where it fell. Because where you are going, chosen one, the only thing heavy enough to carry is the blessing. It is finished. It is sealed, and so it is. Amen.